Naruto, Get Stronger by Hanging Up, Chapter 141. After Yu left the town, he traveled for several days and was only 2 days away from the meeting place agreed with Asama Santefu. He was not in a hurry to rush to the meeting place. Splash! Just as Yu was passing through a forest, he suddenly heard the sound of water splashing in the distance. Yu stopped and stood on a big tree and immediately started to sense. Soon, Yu opened his eyes in shock. How can there be such a huge amount of chakra here? Such a huge amount of chakra, could it be a tailed beast? Yu sensed a very large chakra group in the distance. That huge amount of chakra is the largest amount of chakra Yu has ever seen except for the 9 tails. It should be the chakra of the tailed beast. Even the summoned beasts of the 3 holy places do not have such a huge amount of chakra, right? Yu frowned. Thinking of this, Yu immediately rushed towards the source of the huge chakra. If it's really a wild-tailed beast, then it's a win. Yu was excited. Too slow, use the Flying Thunder God technique. Yu was so excited that he wanted to get to the target quickly. In an instant, Yu started to sense again. Buzz! In a blink of an eye, Yu disappeared from the spot. Almost at the same time, Yu appeared on a huge lake a few kilometers away. In the forest, there is also a huge lake, which is about 30 kilometers wide. And Yu's sudden appearance attracted the attention of the giant creature playing on the lake. After Yu appeared, he saw the giant creature that was tens of meters high in front of him at a glance. After seeing the appearance of the giant creature, Yu was surprised. I guessed right, it's a tailed beast. The turtle-like creature in front of him is the 3-tailed Isobu. Since the death of the 4th generation of Mizukage, the 3-tailed has been without a human pillar. It was also because the 3-tail was wild, so after Konoha found it, it wanted to seal the 3-tail away, and it happened that Orochimaru also wanted to get the 3-tail. The tailed beast has no human pillar, and its strength is not very strong. It only needs a shadow-level strongman to seal it. Except for the 9-tail, ordinary shadow-level strongmen are not the opponent of the 9-tail. But the strength of the 3-tail is obviously not as good as the 9-tail. Deidara and Obito subdued the 3-tail without spending much time and energy. Yu raised his head and looked at the giant turtle in front of him that was like a hill. He smiled and said, "It seems that my summoning beast has been settled." Yu has been thinking about what kind of summoning beast is more beneficial to him. After thinking about it, he always thought that the 3 holy places were the first choice. But suddenly seeing the 3-tail, Yu felt that compared with the summoning beasts of the 3 holy places, the 3-tail is obviously more suitable as a summoning beast, and the tailed beast is much stronger than the summoning beasts of the 3 holy places. Even the relatively weaker 3-tailed beast among the 9-tailed beasts is the same. The reason why it was so easily subdued by Deidara and Obito, or defeated by several ninjutsu of Naruto, was that it had no human pillar and did not show its true strength at all. If the 3-tailed beast was really that weak, Tsunade would not want to seal the 3-tailed beast away later. The appearance of Yu gave the 3-tailed beast an ominous premonition. The man in front of it posed a great threat to it. The originally calm 3-tailed beast suddenly became furious and opened its mouth towards Yu. Buzz! A white light ball condensed in the 3-tailed beast's hand. Yu was stunned for a moment. Are you going to attack without even saying hello? It seems that the tailed beasts really hate humans. Yu actually guessed wrong. The 3-tailed beast simply thought that Yu had the strength to threaten its safety, so it wanted to strike first. Buzz buzz buzz. A huge amount of chakra condensed in the 3-tailed beast's mouth. A light ball with a diameter of several meters condensed and formed. The direction was towards Yu. Yu would not sit still and wait for death. It's really powerful, worthy of being a tailed beast. Although it doesn't have as much chakra as the 9 tails, it's still very terrifying. The 3 tails chakra is definitely not as good as the 9 tails, but it's just not as good as the 9 tails. In the ninja world, there are not many people who can reach the level of the 3 tails. It is estimated that apart from Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama, Yu Yu can't think of anyone else. Yu Yu forgot that his own chakra is already more than the three tails. Of course, not much more. Seeing that the ball of light has condensed into shape, Yu Yu also clasped his hands together. Water style. Super water explosion bomb. Yu Yu started with an A-level water style ninjutsu. This water style ninjutsu was developed by Yu Yu based on the water breaking wave. As Yu Yu activated his chakra, the lake water under his feet immediately shot a stream of water into the sky, a water column. These water columns gathered together in the air. Boom, boom, boom. The condensed water column with a diameter of several meters instantly shot out towards Sanwei. Although it was a water column with a diameter of several meters, it formed an extremely high-pressure water gun. The moment it shot out, it even caused a terrifying sonic boom. It was enough to show the terrifying speed of the water column. Sanwei also immediately blasted out the light ball in his mouth. Bang! Boom! Instantly, the water column and the light ball collided with each other. In an instant, the light covered the surrounding hundreds of meters, and the terrifying energy caused violent vibrations. The surrounding forest birds and beasts were frightened by the violent vibrations and ran around. It was only a momentary collision, and the light ball blasted by Sanwei was blasted through by the super water bomb released by Yu Yu. The terrifying force instantly bombarded Sanwei. Even though Sanwei had a body of more than 10 meters high, it was blasted hundreds of meters away by the water column. When it landed on the lake, it even slid for hundreds of meters on the lake before stopping because of its extremely fast speed. For a moment, the calm lake surface became turbulent, with waves stacked up and water splashing everywhere. Within a few kilometers around, the lake water fell into a heavy rain. The shocking scene stunned the three-tailed beast who fell into the lake. The human in front of him was the most powerful ninja he had ever seen except for the Six Paths Sage and Senju Hashirama. It was just a ninjutsu confrontation, and the three-tailed beast knew that he could never be the opponent of the human in front of him. Seeing the three-tailed beast about to dive, Yu Yu smiled and said, "How could I let you run away?" After saying that, Yu Yu disappeared from the spot. Almost at the same time, Yu Yu appeared above the three-tailed beast. At this time, Yu Yu clapped his hands. Water escape water dragon bullet technique. Another water escape ninjutsu. Roar tilde. A roar came from the lake. Then, a giant water dragon of several hundred meters flew up from the lake. Sanwei was stunned. Roar tilde. But Sanwei also roared at the dragon head in the sky without showing any weakness. Yu Yu was standing on the head of the water dragon at this time. Yu Yu smiled and said, "Sanwei, be my summoning beast." After that, Yu Yu immediately urged the water dragon under his feet to attack Sanwei on the lake. Roar tilde. The giant water dragon roared and pounced on Sanwei. Boom. A dragon and a turtle collided with each other in an instant. The body of the water dragon continued to break, but under Yu Yu's chakra, it continued to reorganize. The dragon body of several hundred meters long wrapped Sanwei up like a giant python. The huge force pressed Sanwei and made him scream violently. Roar tilde. The power of the water dragon was even greater than that of Sanwei. Sanwei could not break free even if he struggled hard, and he couldn't even move. Chapter 142. The three-tailed beast was furious. He tried his best but still couldn't break free from the water dragon. It wanted to condense the tailed beast Jade, but this human seemed to know what he was going to do. His head was already controlled by the water dragon. Even if it condensed the tailed beast Jade, it couldn't reach the water dragon and this human. After struggling for a long time, Yu Yu stood on the tortoise shell of the three-tailed beast until the three-tailed beast had no strength. Yu Yu said, "Three-tailed beast, how about we talk?" Yu Yu knew that the tailed beasts could speak. The huge single eye of the three-tailed beast looked at Yu Yu. The human in front of it posed a huge threat to it, and it even felt as if the Senju Hashirama had reappeared. Especially Yu Yu's hundreds of meters of water dragon, Although it was a water escape, it was too similar to the wood dragon of the Senju Hashirama back then. It seemed to have life and allowed the caster to control it. But the Senju Hashirama used the wood dragon back then. The wood escape itself has a very high strength, but the body of the water dragon is made entirely of water, so it should not have much strength. But the three-tailed beast felt that the power of the water dragon that bound it was no less than that of the wood dragon back then. And the strength was very high, and most importantly, it would continue to reorganize after being broken. The three-tailed beast struggled for a long time, and finally gave up after knowing that he could not get rid of it. He said to Yu gloomily, "Human, what do you want to talk about?" The three-tailed beast had no good feelings towards humans. Even the fourth generation of Mizukage, one of the perfect Jinchuriki, was not liked by it. Otherwise, when Obito used illusion on the fourth generation of Mizukage, it would have helped the fourth generation of Mizukage to solve it. The perfect Jinchuriki can rely on the Jinchuriki in the body to help solve the illusion. But if the tailed beast in the body is unwilling, there is nothing to do. Yu sat on the turtle back of the three-tailed beast, looked at the three-tailed beast and smiled. "I want to sign a spiritual contract with you," Yu said directly without any nonsense. The three-tailed beast was stunned. Looking at Yu in disbelief, "What are you talking about?" Sanwei couldn't believe that a human wanted him to be his summoning beast. "Are you kidding?" Yu said seriously again. "I said, I want to sign a summoning contract with you." Roar tilde. Sanwei was furious. Yu actually dared to repeat it again. He roared at Yu angrily. The violent sound waves even formed a hurricane. But no matter how it struggled, it still couldn't break free from the water dragon's restraints. "Human, you are looking for death. You dare to let me become your summoning beast. I will kill you." Roar. Sanwei roared and struggled hard, but no matter how it struggled, the water dragon on its body did not relax its restraints on it at all. Yu was not angry. He sat on the turtle's back and watched Sanwei struggle indifferently. Yu himself didn't notice that it was so easy for him to suppress or subdue a tailed beast now. You know, even though the three-tailed beast is not very strong among the nine-tailed beasts, it still gives Orochimaru a headache. He has used many mysterious powers but still cannot subdue it. But Yu only used 2 water-style ninjutsu to suppress it. In fact, Yu can suppress the three-tailed beast with only the water dragon bullet technique. At first, he used the super water bomb just to test how strong the three-tailed beast's attack power is. After the three-tailed beast struggled to death, Yu continued, "Three-tailed, it's actually good for you to be my summoning beast. Asshole, brat, don't even think about making me your slave." Three-tailed said furiously. Yu sighed and said helplessly, "Look at you, how can being my summoning beast be a slave? I just want you to be my comrade in arms, I won't treat you as a slave." Roar. The three-tailed beast roared again. It didn't believe Yu at all. "Human, you just want my power, seal me in the body of the hateful human, and make me lose my freedom." Yu sighed. "It seems that you have experienced some bad things before. But please rest assured, I have never thought of sealing you up. I really just want you to sign a spiritual contract with me. I just need a spiritual beast to fight side by side. How about you sign it?" Yu looked at Sanwei sincerely. But Sanwei was angered by Yu's attitude. "Asshole, you dare to let me be your spiritual beast, you just want to use my power, I won't let you succeed." Yu looked embarrassed. "No, just be my spiritual beast. I won't seal you up, except sometimes I will summon you to fight together. You are free at other times, and as long as you are in any danger, I will also help you, isn't that good? And I want you to be my summoned beast, not because I want to use your power, but because I think it's cool to have you as a summoned beast, that's all. Would you like to think about it?" It would have been better if Yu hadn't said it, but what he said completely made Sanwei furious. "I'm going to kill you, bastard, I'm going to kill you." Roar. The roars came one after another, and the sound waves were higher than the waves. What Yu said just now was not only to enslave it, but the most important thing was to look down on it. What do you mean it's cool to have you as a summoned beast? So this guy actually doesn't think highly of his own power, right? Yu really thought so. Now with Yu's strength, summoned beasts are basically of little help to him. The reason why Yu still wants to find a summoned beast is simply because he thinks it's cool to have a summoned beast already. Otherwise, he only used two ninjutsu to suppress the three-tailed beast. The three-tailed beast was not only not an advantage to him in the battle, but also a certain burden. After all, if he encounters a strong enemy, Yu will have to distract himself to protect it. What else can it be but a burden? However, no matter how furious the three-tailed beast was, it still couldn't break free from the restraints of the water dragon. Yu sat on its turtle back and watched it quietly. Until it had no strength to struggle anymore, Yu said, "Think about it carefully, it will really be of great benefit to you. Do you think that with my strength, I really need to use your power? But if you become my summoned beast, you don't need to worry about being sealed again. At least before I die, you are free. And all you need to pay is to be summoned by me to fight occasionally." What do you think? If I were you, I would definitely agree. I can guarantee that before I die, whoever wants to seal you will definitely help you. You should know very well that as long as you are discovered, there will definitely be a ninja village to seal you. After all, no ninja village will let go of the power of the tailed beast. The three-tailed beast didn't want to pay any attention to Yu. If it hadn't been out of strength, it would have yelled at Yu. The man and the turtle just stayed there quietly. Yu kept staring at the three-tailed beast. The three-tailed beast was so angry that he didn't want to look at Yu at all. For a moment, the atmosphere became extremely awkward. Yu was very calm, but the three-tailed beast was getting angrier and angrier. Just now, it was angry because Yu wanted to use its power, but now it was angry because Yu actually looked down on it and looked down on its power. Chapter 143. After the two of them were deadlocked for a while, Sanwei spoke first, angrily saying, "You stinky boy, don't even think about letting me become your summoning beast, it's impossible." Yu stood up calmly. Looking at Sanwei, he said lightly, "No, if you don't want to be my summoning beast, I will seal you in my body and I will become a Jinchuriki." Sanwei sneered, "Seal me? Ha ha ha, stupid guy, do you know the sealing technique? Can your sealing technique seal me?" Yu didn't waste any words and began to make seals with both hands. In an instant, dozens of black chains flew out of Yu's body, and these black chains were all composed of mysterious runes. 8 trigrams seal. Dozens of 8 trigrams seals spread out rapidly and entangled Sanwei's body. Sanwei suddenly felt that his soul was restrained. The moment those black rune chains touched it, they suppressed the chakra in its body. The chakra in the body seemed to be frozen and could not be mobilized at all. This is the 8 diagrams seal modified by Yu. It is improved after the diamond seal and the 8 diagrams seal. So this sealing technique can be used to capture the tailed beasts like the diamond seal, and it can also be used to seal the tailed beasts. Even those black rune chains can be used for combat. The three-tail felt the threat that touched the soul. Damn, how can this bastard have such a terrifying sealing technique? Who is this guy? The three-tail panicked, it could really feel the suppression of its soul from the rune chains. It knew very well that this sealing technique could really seal it easily. Yu's eyes condensed slightly, and dozens of rune chains tied up the three-tail all over. Just when Yu was about to drag the three-tail into his body, the three-tail quickly said, "Okay, I am willing to sign a spiritual contract with you." The three-tail was still scared. Compared to being sealed in Yu's body, it chose to become Yu's summoning beast. After all, as Yu's summoning beast, it is still free, but if it is sealed in his body, it will be trapped in Yu's body for decades. After hearing Sanwei's words, Yu's mouth corners slightly raised. "That's right, it's not a shame to be my summoning beast, why resist so much? Watching the rune chain slowly retract into Yiyu's body, Sanwei breathed a sigh of relief. Hearing Yiyu's words, Sanwei was speechless. I am a tailed beast, of course I need face. Yiyu smiled and said, you don't have to worry about being embarrassed, the nine-tailed has been a summoning beast, what are you embarrassed about? Sanwei was stunned. It didn't know that the nine-tailed had been a summoning beast. After all, it is quite embarrassing for a tailed beast to be used as a summoning beast. Are you telling the truth? Yiyu nodded, I am a ninja from Konoha, can I lie to you? At this moment, the nine-tailed fox in Naruto suddenly had a bad feeling. But he didn't know why. If it knew that Yiyu had revealed all its secrets, it would probably want to kill Yiyu. That was the thing it least wanted to mention. The three-tailed fox nodded. Finally, it felt a little psychologically comforted. Although it didn't know whether it was true or not, it at least knew that a tailed beast had done this. It was still the most powerful nine-tailed fox among the nine-tailed beasts. After taking back the rune chain, the three-tailed fox said, you remove this water snake, otherwise how can I sign a contract with you? Yiyu was not worried that the three-tailed fox would run away. So Yiyu just waved his hand, and the water dragon that was originally entangled with the three-tailed fox instantly dissipated. The hundreds of meters of body dissipated, and a huge amount of water hit the lake, raising waves tens of meters high. But Yiyu didn't care. Sanwei looked at the water dragon that had turned into a pool of lake water, a little dazed. What kind of ninjutsu is this? Ordinary water escape ninjutsu can't achieve this effect. Sanwei looked at Yiyu. Yiyu said lightly, it's just an ordinary water dragon bullet technique. Okay, sign it. Yiyu has learned the art of summoning. So he knows very well how to sign a contract with a summoned beast. Although Sanwei is a little reluctant, it has no other choice in this situation. And it also thinks that becoming Yiyu's summoned beast is a better choice. It knows very well that it will not be long before a ninja will find it. After discovering it, what the ninjas of each village will do, it has experienced before. Rather than being sealed in the body of the Jinchuriki for a long time, it might as well be Yiyu's summoned beast. At least most of the time, it is free. In fact, the most important thing is that Yiyu is very strong. Sanwei believes that Yiyu has the strength to fulfill his promise and can really protect it from being sealed. After signing the psychic contract with Yiyu, Yiyu smiled, finally, the last shortcoming has been made up. Looking at Yiyu laughing so happily, Sanwei said speechlessly, I don't think you need a summoned beast at all, considering your strength. Yiyu said lightly, I don't think so. Different battles always have different needs. Besides, if other ninjas summon beasts in the battle, even if I can solve the battle by myself, I always feel that I am a level lower than them. Sanwei was helpless, don't tell me that the last reason is your real purpose. Yiyu did not answer, but said, okay, I still have a mission to do, so I'll say goodbye first. Yiyu disappeared on Sanwei's back as soon as he finished speaking. Sanwei was stunned. What's the matter with this guy? Don't you know each other? If you are so unfamiliar, how can you fight together in the future? Sanwei was speechless. But Sanwei was not very disgusted with Yiyu. Especially now that Yiyu and it have signed a summoning contract. It just felt that Yiyu was a little unreliable. Fortunately, you are strong enough, otherwise, I will definitely be killed by you when we fight together in the future. Sanwei complained. Yiyu's strength has indeed been recognized by it. In any case, Yiyu suppressed it with just 2 water escape ninjutsu, and this strength still made Sanwei feel relieved. And it only became Yiyu's summoned beast, it existed as Yiyu's comrade in arms, not as before, as a source of energy for Jinchuriki. It has been sealed in a dark and uncomfortable environment. The most important thing is that it can feel that Yiyu is different from others, and Yiyu really has no intention of using it. Maybe it's really like what Yiyu said, he really just wants a summoned beast that looks handsome after being summoned. Just thinking of this, Sanwei didn't know what to say. This guy, I don't know what will happen after becoming his summoned beast. Shaking his head, Sanwei slowly sank to the bottom of the lake. Sanwei knew very well that with Yeuyu's strength, he would not summon it many times in the future. It even thought that Yeoyu might not summon it once a year. The reason why it thought so was because Yeoyu was too strong. In Sanwei's opinion, he did not need to summon it to help in the battle. If the enemy could not be solved by Yeoyu, it could not be solved by it. Sanwei knew this very well after the battle just now. Damn it, the more I think about it, the more I feel that guy really just treats me as a tool to show off. Sanwei became more and more angry as he thought about it. Of course, it did not have any hatred towards Yeoyu. It was just a little unhappy to be treated as a tool to show off. Chapter 144. Meanwhile, in Konoha, the village held the Chunin exam half a month after Yeoyu left. In the secret room of Konoha, Sasuke, who was sealed with the Heaven's Curse by Orochimaru, asked Kakashi to find a way to seal the Heaven's Curse in his body. Sasuke sat cross-legged on the platform with runes carved on it. Kakashi stood behind him and asked seriously, "Sasuke, have you really thought about it? It will be very painful to seal this curse." Sasuke gently stroked the location of the curse and said coldly, "Teacher Kakashi, I can bear it no matter how painful it is, you do it." Although Sasuke knew that the Heaven's Curse could greatly improve his strength. But Sasuke didn't want to rely on this method to improve his strength now. If it were him in the past, he would definitely not refuse as long as he could improve his strength. But now he has a better plan to improve his strength, and he doesn't want to disappoint Yeoyu. He doesn't want Yeoyu to think that he is a person who is eager for quick success. He wanted to rely on himself and improve his Sharingan to gain Yeoyu's recognition. Kakashi nodded. "I know, you bear it, seal the evil." Kakashi quickly formed seals with both hands, and suddenly, the runes on the ground began to flow into Sasuke's body. Finally, they slowly gathered around the Heaven's Curse seal. It was just that the sealing process caused severe pain, and Sasuke couldn't help but screamed out with gritted teeth. The severe pain made Sasuke sweat all over, but when he thought of what Yeoyu had said to him before, even if it hurt, he still gritted his teeth and endured the severe pain. The sealing technique lasted for about a minute. After the technique was completed, Sasuke fainted from the pain. Looking at Sasuke, whose clothes were soaked with sweat, Kakashi sighed, "If Yeoyu was here, maybe he would find a better way to solve it. And I don't know if this seal can seal it." Kakashi sighed. Kakashi was very worried at this time. The appearance of Orochimaru in the Chunin exam made Kakashi aware of the crisis. He knew very well that he was far from being Orochimaru's opponent. In front of Orochimaru, he even thought of not resisting. Just when Kakashi was thinking about this, a figure slowly walked into the entrance of the secret room. A voice came from the darkness, "Kakashi, you can't seal that curse." Hearing this familiar voice, Kakashi immediately stood in front of Sasuke and quickly formed seals with both hands. Swish tilde la. The Reikiri was activated instantly, and the Sharingan was opened. The Sharingan stared closely at the person who came out of the darkness. "Orochimaru," Kakashi said in a solemn tone. The person who walked in was indeed Orochimaru. Orochimaru walked under the light and looked at Kakashi, saying with contempt, "You use the Sharingan well, but it's a pity that you don't have the body of the Uchiha clan, so it's just a fake after all." Kakashi was under great pressure. Under Orochimaru's murderous aura, he was still trembling as before, and couldn't muster the courage to resist. Kakashi gritted his teeth. Although his body was trembling, he still said, "I am no longer the same as before. At least now I can die with you. Don't even think about taking Sasuke away." Kakashi knew that Orochimaru was coming for Sasuke. Orochimaru sneered, "Sasuke will never be able to exert the limit of his bloodline in Konoha. I have decided to choose him as the next body. Don't even think about it. As long as I'm alive, I will never let you take Sasuke away." "Hee hee," if you have the ability, come and stop me. Orochimaru sneered and turned and walked out of the secret room. He was not worried that Kakashi would attack him. Kakashi did not attack until Orochimaru disappeared into the secret room. After removing Reikiri, Kakashi gritted his teeth and said, "Just now I actually thought I could die with him. It's ridiculous." Kakashi looked solemn. He turned his head and looked at Sasuke, who had fainted from the pain. Kakashi frowned and said, "It's hard to stop Orochimaru if I rely on myself. It would be great if you were here, Yu." The Chunin exam was held when Yu was on a mission. Originally, Kakashi thought it was just an ordinary Chunin exam, but who knew that such a big change would happen? Even Orochimaru appeared. Soon, the news that Orochimaru appeared in the Chunin exam was known to the third generation. After the first half of the Chunin exam was over, the third generation summoned all the Jonin of Konoha. The appearance of Orochimaru made the third generation very nervous, because even he was not sure that he could defeat Orochimaru. Although it was later proved that the third generation could defeat Orochimaru, and even fight 3 people alone, he had no confidence at all now. Hokage's office. The third Hokage informed all the Konoha Jonin about Orochimaru. Hearing the name of Orochimaru, all the Konoha Jonin were shocked. They all looked at the third Hokage. "Is it Orochimaru, one of the 3 ninjas?" The third Hokage nodded, and said solemnly, "There is one more thing, Gecko Gale was killed in Kikyo Castle." What? How could it be? Was it Orochimaru who did it? Hearing that Gecko Gale was killed, all the Konoha Jonin were shocked. After all, although Gecko Gale was only a special Jonin, his transparent escape allowed him to get rid of it even if he couldn't beat him. But he was killed. Orochimaru's strength once again shocked all the Jonin. He thought, he is worthy of being the 3 ninjas. The name of the 3 ninjas is very loud. Even now, the 3 ninjas have a high deterrent power in the ninja world. Seeing the shocked faces of the senior ninjas, the third generation said solemnly, "It wasn't Orochimaru who did it, but Gecko Gale was killed while chasing the ninja named Kabuto. It is very likely that the ninja named Kabuto did it. But that Kabuto is related to Orochimaru, so this matter is also related to Orochimaru." The senior ninjas were very nervous. Kakashi also looked solemn. He thought in his heart, "Yu, if you were here, it would be great, and we wouldn't have to be so nervous." Kakashi knew very well that if Yu was here, Yu could stop even Orochimaru. But Yu was not here. In Kakashi's opinion, the only one in the village who could stop Orochimaru was the third generation. And the third generation himself was not sure that he could beat Orochimaru. Kakashi also felt that the third generation was old, and it was still unknown whether he could defeat Orochimaru. At this time, Kakashi was very glad that he found Yu. If he hadn't found Yu, he would probably be even more desperate than he is now. The third generation looked at the nervous Jonins, and although he was very solemn, he still said seriously, "The only way now is to gather all the ninjas in the village to fight him. Besides, I believe in you." The words of the third generation immediately inspired the Jonins. They all became excited. Although their opponent was Orochimaru, the leader of the 3 ninjas, they were still willing to join the war for the sake of the village. But Kakashi's expression was always solemn. He knew very well that the third generation's words meant that he was not sure either. Chapter 145. After the meeting, the third generation stayed alone in the Hokage room. He looked at the images of the successive generations of Hokage on the wall. The third generation was silent for a long time. After a long time, the door of the Hokage room was opened. Mitarashi Anko walked in. He looked at the images of the successive generations of Hokage. He sighed, "Hokage-sama, I'm sorry." Anko was indeed very guilty. She felt sorry for the village for not dying with Orochimaru. The third generation sighed and said, "Are you saying that you didn't die with Orochimaru in the Forest of Death?" "Anko, you have nothing to do with Orochimaru now, don't feel guilty." Anko was stunned for a moment. "But, If Orochimaru appears, he will definitely start a war against the village. The third generation said helplessly, I know this, but there is no way. No one in the village can stop him now, even I am afraid I can't. At this time, the third generation felt that he was old and his fighting power must have declined a lot. Besides, Orochimaru had defected for many years, and he didn't know how powerful Orochimaru was now. Hongdu raised his head and looked at the photo of the fourth Hokage on the wall. He sighed, it would be great if the fourth Hokage was still here. Although the fourth Hokage was not as prestigious as the third Hokage, his strength was well known. After all, it was because of him that Konoha was able to win the Third Ninja World War. It can almost be said that the reason why Konoha was able to win the Third Ninja World War was mostly due to the strength of the fourth Hokage. Hongdu felt that if the fourth Hokage was still alive, he should be able to stop Orochimaru. The third Hokage shook his head and said bitterly, the fourth Hokage has sacrificed for the village, and he has sacrificed a lot for the village. And that was 13 years ago. For a while, the Hokage room fell into a long silence. For a long time, the third Hokage thought of Yu who was still on a mission outside. He smiled bitterly and said, if he was here, he might be able to stop it, but it just happened. The third generation suspected that Orochimaru deliberately chose to attack the village when Yu was not in the village. Although the third generation did not know much about how strong Yu was now, Yu could easily kill Kuroki Raiga and suppress the runaway Naruto, and even mastered various powerful sealing techniques and flying thunder god techniques, and even mastered the powerful Rasengan and Chidori. He already has the strength of a cage. If he was in the village, he might be able to stop Orochimaru. Hongdu behind the third generation listened to the third generation's muttering and was a little confused. Who is the person that Hokage is talking about? She didn't know much about Yu. When Yu became a Chunin, he actually paid the most attention to the ninjas of various families. But Hongdu's mind was not on these things. So she didn't know that there was another Yu in Konoha. After all, the story of Yu was only circulated among those who were familiar with Kakashi or the top leaders of Konoha. The third generation obviously didn't want to explain too much. He just said ambiguously, if he was here, I can guarantee that Orochimaru would not succeed. Red Bean frowned, not knowing who the third generation was talking about. Are you talking about Lord Jiraiya? Red Bean thought for a long time, and only thought of Jiraiya. After all, the only people who could stop the three ninjas were the other two of the three ninjas. The third generation didn't name anyone, but just said, Red Bean, go back. Remember, you have nothing to do with Orochimaru, don't feel guilty. The third generation didn't want Red Bean to feel guilty because of her relationship with Orochimaru. Red Bean kept thinking, who was the person the third generation was talking about? But she really had no clue. But the third generation obviously didn't want to say it. So Red Bean could only withdraw from the Hokage room. After Red Bean left, the third generation looked at the portrait on the wall. I wanted to see you become Hokage with my own eyes, but I'm afraid there is no chance. The third generation stood up and picked up the Hokage's bamboo hat. He has decided to take action himself to stop Orochimaru from destroying the village. The reason why the third generation thought he would die was because he knew Orochimaru's strength and his own physical condition at the moment. He was no longer as strong as he was when he was young. He was not sure of defeating Orochimaru. But now he was the only one in Konoha who was most likely to stop Orochimaru. He had to go for it. After the meeting, all the senior ninjas in Konoha were in a bad mood. After all, the opponent was Orochimaru, one of the three ninjas, and they had heard of the three ninjas since they were young. They didn't know how to stop him. In the Konoha hospital, Kakashi came to Sasuke's ward. Looking at Sasuke who had not woken up yet, Kakashi was very worried. I don't know if my seal will work. If Yu was here, he would definitely be able to get rid of the curse seal. Yu didn't know that he was in Kakashi and the third generation's hearts. he was already so reliable. Even at this time, he was regarded as the only hope. If Kakashi and the third generation knew that Yu felt that he only had the strength of an elite Jonin at this time, they would probably be shocked. After staying in the ward for a while, he met Sakura and Naruto, who came to the hospital to see Sasuke. At this time, the relationship between the three was much better than before. Because Sakura had explained the relationship to Sasuke, Naruto also knew it, although he was very reluctant to accept it. But seeing Sakura's happy look, he could only accept it. However, it was precisely because he accepted it that he knew more clearly where the degree of the relationship between the three was. So when getting along, there were not as many concerns as before. And because of Yu, Sasuke, Sakura and Naruto are now much stronger than at this time in the original work. At this time, Sasuke's strength is close to that of a Jonin, or has reached the level of a special Jonin. And Sakura has reached the level of an ordinary Chunin. Naruto has the strength of an elite Chunin. If he performs well, he can reach the level of a special Jonin. This is without going berserk. The destructive power of a runaway Naruto can reach the level of a Kage, and the combat power can reach the level of a Jonin. However, because of Yu's seal, the risk of Naruto going berserk has been reduced a lot. But even though he is so powerful, when facing Orochimaru, the three of them were still crushed by him. This is normal, after all, even Kakashi, an elite Jonin, can't even resist in front of Orochimaru. Orochimaru's murderous aura alone can make Kakashi feel like he has been killed several times. The two saw Kakashi as soon as they came in. "Teacher Kakashi, when will you teach me to practice?" Naruto asked Kakashi as soon as he saw him. Sakura came to Sasuke's bedside and looked at the unconscious Sasuke with heartache. Kakashi leaned on the windowsill and said lightly, "Let's talk about it after Sasuke wakes up." Naruto looked at Sasuke on the bed and fell silent. After a long time, Naruto lowered his head and said in a low voice, "Teacher Kakashi, is that Orochimaru very strong? Even Sasuke is not his opponent." Although Naruto did not admit it, he knew very well that Sasuke was the strongest among the three of them. Even after he mastered the Rasengan, he still couldn't defeat Sasuke. Because Yu gave Sasuke many ways to practice Sharingan, Sasuke trusted Yu very much. He practiced according to the methods given by Yu. As a result, his pupil power was much stronger than that in the original work at this time. In addition, Yu made him tend to practice the instant body technique. So among the three, Sasuke is definitely the strongest one now. But such a strong Sasuke was killed by Orochimaru in seconds. Naruto was not there at the time, so he didn't believe it. But when he saw Sasuke suffering from the curse seal, he still hated Orochimaru. Chapter 146. Kakashi was silent for a long time before he slowly said, "Well, he is very strong. He is the legendary Sannin, even I am not his opponent." Naruto was shocked and looked up at Kakashi, "Even you are not his opponent?" Kakashi nodded, "Yes, the Sannin are very powerful, each of them has the strength of the Hokage level. Definitely not something that ordinary ninjas can match." Naruto asked again, "Teacher Kakashi, what exactly are the Sannin?" Kakashi was stunned for a moment, but he understood after looking at Naruto. It is normal for Naruto not to know who the Sannin are. So he explained the origin of the Sannin to Naruto. After listening, Naruto was also shocked. The Sannin are so powerful. No wonder Sasuke is not his opponent. After thinking for a while, Naruto seemed to remember something. "Teacher Kakashi, then, is Yu their opponent?" Kakashi was silent for a while before saying, "I don't know, maybe Yu can resist them." It's not that Kakashi said this on purpose. But he didn't know whether Yu could defeat the three ninjas. But Kakashi believed that Yu at least had the same strength as the three ninjas. Naruto said excitedly, "Why don't you let Yu come back?" Kakashi looked at Naruto and was a little speechless. "Yu is probably in another country now, how can we call him back?" Really, why must it be at this time? Teacher Kakashi, if Yu doesn't come back, can anyone in our village resist Orochimaru? Even Grandpa Hokage can't do it. Kakashi was silent. He thought the third generation should be able to do it, but everyone knew that the third generation was very old now and hadn't taken action for many years. Kakashi was not sure whether the third generation had the ability to stop Orochimaru. Looking at Kakashi's appearance, Naruto knew the answer. Yu, why are you not here at this time? Teacher Kakashi, even you can't stop Orochimaru. Kakashi smiled bitterly, I am far from his opponent. Naruto clenched his fists. If I were stronger, this wouldn't happen. For the first time, Naruto felt a deep sense of powerlessness. After fighting with Bai in the Land of Waves, he was suppressed, but he knew that Kakashi and Yu were there, and he knew that someone could save them. Now Yu is not in Konoha, and it may take a long time for him to come back. No one in the village can stop Orochimaru. Even Kakashi can't do anything. After a long time, Naruto looked up at Kakashi. Teacher Kakashi, if I can master the power of the Nine Tails, can I stop that Orochimaru? Kakashi was stunned. Looking at Naruto, he asked in confusion, why do you think so? Naruto covered his stomach and said, Yu said that when I master the power of the Nine Tails, I can surpass him. Kakashi didn't know what to say for a moment. Could he say that Yu was fooling you? But if Naruto mastered the chakra of the Nine Tails, he would indeed be greatly improved. Maybe he could really stop Orochimaru. Maybe. Kakashi said. He didn't know why Yu said those words to Naruto, but he thought that he said that to encourage Naruto. Kakashi would naturally not expose Yu. Naruto held the clothes on his abdomen and said seriously, from today on, I will work harder to practice. I want to master the power of the Nine Tails. Kakashi nodded, it's good that you have this intention. Fortunately, the 8th diagram seal that Yu cast on you before is different from the 4th Hokage. So Orochimaru's sealing technique did not succeed. In the Forest of Death, Orochimaru disguised himself as a ninja from other ninja villages to attack Team 7. Originally, he wanted to cast the 5 elements seal on Naruto to interfere with the Nine Tails chakra in Naruto's body. But because of Yu's 8th diagram seal, Orochimaru did not succeed. The 8th diagram seal cast by Yu is too strong. Not only can it seal the Nine Tails chakra, but it can also suppress the seal added from the outside. Even Orochimaru was very strange. But he didn't care, after all, Naruto was not his target. Just thought that the 4th Hokage's seal had set up some defense mechanism. But Kakashi knew very well that the 8th diagram seal of the 4th Hokage could not stop Orochimaru's 5 elements seal. But Yu's 8th diagram seal really could. The current Naruto, unlike in the original work, his chakra is not disturbed by Orochimaru's 5 elements seal. Naruto listened to Kakashi and asked, is it Yu's seal? Kakashi nodded, yes, it was the seal left by Yu that stopped the seal imposed by Orochimaru. Otherwise, I'm afraid you will be affected by Orochimaru's seal now. Because although Orochimaru's sealing technique was not successfully applied, it left traces in Naruto's body. Kakashi also knew that Orochimaru was going to apply the 5 elements seal to Naruto. Kakashi, who knew something about the 5 elements seal, went to check the information and knew the function of the 5 elements seal. He also knew Orochimaru's purpose. If Orochimaru really succeeded, you should not be able to use the Nine Tails chakra now. And when you use chakra, you will also be affected by this sealing technique, causing your chakra control to seriously decrease. After Kakashi's explanation, Naruto lowered his head and said solemnly, Yu is protecting me again. From the Land of Waves to now, Naruto feels that Yu has protected him many times. And he seems to have become a fledgling protected by Yu's wings. Naruto clenched his fists and said seriously, I will become stronger, and one day I will protect him. Kakashi was relieved to see Naruto's serious look. But when he thought of Orochimaru, he was still a little sad. This will be a great disaster for Konoha village. I don't know how to get through it. Kakashi sighed. Kakashi, who has a great reputation in the ninja world, had to sigh helplessly at this time. When the disaster came, Kakashi immediately knew how important Yu was to Konoha. For a while, the ninjas of the entire Konoha village were very gloomy because of the appearance of Orochimaru. All of them were shrouded in the shadow of Orochimaru's attack. After watching Sasuke for a while, Kakashi went back. Walking on the street, the bustling streets of Konoha were completely opposite to Kakashi's mood at this time. Kakashi, who was walking, suddenly raised his head and looked forward. A tall ninja with white hair stood in front of him. Kakashi's originally gloomy mood immediately dissipated when he saw this man. Replaced with ecstasy. Master Jiraiya. Jiraiya smiled and said, "Hey, Kakashi." After the two greeted each other, they disappeared in the street. When they appeared again, they were already on a rooftop. Kakashi leaned on the guardrail and said, "You haven't been back for several years." Jiraiya also leaned on the guardrail and said lightly, "I haven't been back for several years, and there are still not many changes." Kakashi looked at Jiraiya. Orochimaru appeared. Jiraiya leaned on the guardrail, looked at the distance and said lightly, "I know. But you are back, the danger is much reduced." Kakashi said. Chapter 147. Jiraiya looked calm, as if he was thinking about something else. After a long silence, Jiraiya said, "Kakashi, leave Naruto to me." Kakashi was stunned. "Can you tell me why?" Although Kakashi believed in Jiraiya, Naruto was a Jinchuriki after all, and the third generation had given him the care. He could not make a decision without the third generation's permission. Jiraiya was silent for a while before saying, "Naruto is the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki." Kakashi did not respond, and everyone knew this. "You know that I have been monitoring Orochimaru outside for these years," Jiraiya said. Kakashi nodded. Jiraiya continued, "When I was monitoring Orochimaru these years, I found that he had joined an organization called Akatsuki." Kakashi frowned. "There are 9 members in this organization. In recent years, this organization has been taking missions everywhere in the ninja world and collecting ninjutsu from various ninja villages. At the same time, they are also investigating the tailed beast Jinchuriki of each ninja village." Kakashi was shocked. "You mean Tilda?" Jiraiya nodded. "Yes, they will probably collect the tailed beasts for their use just like collecting ninjutsu." Kakashi frowned. "Can't even you get rid of this organization? After all, Jiraiya is a Sannin, he should have this ability." Jiraiya shook his head. "No, the ninjas in this organization are very strong, and almost every ninja has the power of a shadow." Kakashi was stunned. "All have the power of a shadow?" Kakashi couldn't believe it. This kind of thing was beyond his imagination. "You know, Jiraiya said that there are 9 people in the Akatsuki organization, 9 shadow-level strongmen, which has the strength to capture a country. One Orochimaru made Konoha so nervous. 9 strong men like Orochimaru are terrifying to think about." Jiraiya said solemnly, "So I want to take Naruto with me. He must master the power of the 9 tails to avoid being captured by the Akatsuki organization." Kakashi was silent. He didn't know how to answer. In theory, this matter is good for Naruto, but he doesn't know if Naruto is willing. The third generation should not object. After all, the third generation knows Jiraiya's strength. Following Jiraiya is much safer than wandering around the village. But Kakashi thought of Yu again. Immediately, Kakashi decided. Jiraiya didn't have any reason to continue, so Kakashi nodded. "It will be safer for Naruto to follow you." Jiraiya was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect Kakashi to agree so easily. "I thought you would object," Jiraiya said in surprise. Kakashi sighed. "I just hope he can be safer, and he really can't learn much from me." Jiraiya frowned. He always felt that Kakashi was not for this reason. "Kakashi, this is not like you. Kakashi knew that he could not deceive Jiraiya, so he had no choice but to tell his true thoughts. I just don't want my other disciple to die. Jiraiya asked in confusion, are you talking about Sasuke? Because Yu had only risen recently, Jiraiya didn't know of his existence. Kakashi shook his head, no, Sasuke now doesn't have that strength. Jiraiya was a little surprised, no, your other disciple, isn't that a girl? Does she have the same talent as Tsunade? Jiraiya thought that the other person Kakashi was talking about was Sakura. However, Sakura's talent is indeed very high. Without any bloodline bonus, she mastered most of Tsunade's ninjutsu and even had the strength of Kage in the end. But the person Kakashi was talking about was not Sakura. Kakashi thought for a moment and said, he is one of my disciples. If he was in Konoha, I wouldn't be so worried about Orochimaru's invasion. Jiraiya was also surprised. You mean, your disciple is Orochimaru's opponent? Jiraiya couldn't believe it. Orochimaru was a Sannin like him. Kakashi looked into the distance and sighed, I don't know, but it is likely. Kakashi, don't you know how powerful the Kage is? Jiraiya didn't want to believe it. It was too unbelievable. Kakashi smiled, I didn't believe it at first, so I observed him for a long time. He does have the strength of a Kage. The Hokage also knows about this. Jiraiya, who didn't believe it at first, heard that the third generation also knew about it, so he had no doubts. If that's the case, then you have a very strong disciple. Who is he? Can you tell me? Jiraiya was also very curious about who could make the third generation and Kakashi do something that was possible, to resist Orochimaru's judgment. Kakashi thought about it and introduced Yu to Jiraiya, which would be good for his future connections. Moreover, Jiraiya was from the same department as the Hokage, and he would know about Yu sooner or later. So Kakashi said, my disciple is called Jingwen Yu, and he performed a mission with us before. During that mission, he killed Kuroki Raiga of the 7 ninja swordsmen by himself. Jiraiya was a little surprised. The 7 ninja swordsmen were still very famous during this period. So Jiraiya was very shocked. How old is your disciple? Kakashi said, he is from the same class as Naruto and Sasuke, and they are the same age. What? The same age as Sasuke and Naruto? Are you kidding? Jiraiya couldn't believe it. He thought Yu was at least 15 or 16 years old. 15 or 16 years old has the strength to kill elite Jonin, although the talent is extremely high, but Jiraiya can understand it. After all, Minato Namikaze had such a talent back then. But Kakashi actually said that Yu was the same age as Naruto, which means that his talent far exceeded that of Minato Namikaze. But he didn't quite believe that there would be such a talent. Kakashi looked at Jiraiya and said calmly, do I have to lie to you? Seeing Kakashi's calm appearance, Jiraiya was also shocked. Of course he knew that Kakashi couldn't lie to him. But he didn't dare to believe that this was true. Mainly because he had never seen a person with such a talent. Even Orochimaru, who he thought was a genius back then, was not that scary. Does the third generation know about this? Kakashi nodded, it was the third generation Hokage who promoted him to Chunin. And he was promoted recently. Jiraiya was silent for a long time. This news was too incredible. He needed time to digest it. After a long time, Jiraiya frowned and said, you mean, he has the strength to resist Orochimaru now? Kakashi thought for a while and said, I don't know, but I think with his current strength, it's not a problem. What does the third generation think of him? Because Kakashi is Yu's teacher, and his strength is only that of an elite Jonin, Jiraiya is worried that Kakashi will misjudge. Kakashi said, Hokage said he already has the strength of a Kage. Jiraiya now believes it completely. But he can't believe that such a genius exists. At the age of 12, he has the strength of a Kage. Jiraiya has never seen such a ninja. This is a good thing. Jiraiya asked curiously, why isn't he in the village? Will he not participate in this Chunin exam as an invigilator? Kakashi shook his head. Hokage-sama hopes that Yu can accumulate missions, so he gave him a B-level mission and asked him to carry it out alone. Jiraiya looked at Kakashi in shock when he heard this. What did you say? Kakashi repeated it again. Jiraiya was stunned for a while before he came back to his senses. He said to himself, what does the third generation want to do? Did he choose that kid? Just like choosing Minato back then. As a disciple of the third generation, Jiraiya had vaguely guessed what the third generation was planning. The third generation was planning to train Yu to become a Hokage. Otherwise, he would not let him carry out the B-level mission alone. Although Yu is indeed qualified to carry out B-level missions, such missions generally require the accompaniment of a Jonin. Or at least there are several Chunins in a team. It is very rare to carry out a mission alone, and it almost never happens. If the third generation didn't want Yu to die, there was only one possibility, that is, the third generation felt that with Yu's strength, there would be no danger even if he performed the B-level mission alone. The most important thing is that he obviously wanted Yu to accumulate tasks, and why did he want Yu to accumulate tasks? Obviously, he wanted to train Yu to become a Hokage. Otherwise, it would be enough to let Yu slowly accumulate tasks by himself, and there would be no rush. Chapter 148. Jiraiya was silent for a long time. This news had a huge impact on him. He had been out of the village for several years, but he didn't expect such a person to appear in the village. After a long time, Jiraiya nodded and said, it's better for him to go out. Even if he may really have the power to resist Orochimaru, he is only 12 years old. If something goes wrong, it will be a huge loss for the village. In the end, Jiraiya still hopes that such an excellent junior can grow up safely. Transfer hope to a safe place. This is what the third generation did during the Nine Tails Rebellion. Jiraiya naturally had a similar idea. Kakashi, then leave Naruto to me. He has to rely on himself to master the power of the Nine Tails. It will be safer for him to follow me. It will be easy for Akatsuki to capture him if he stays in the village. In the eyes of others, Konoha village seems to be safer than outside the village. But Jiraiya knows very well that with the strength of Akatsuki, it is not difficult for them to attack the village and capture Naruto. Staying in the village is the most unsafe. Kakashi nodded. Then I'll leave him to you. After that, Jiraiya and Kakashi chatted for a while and left. On the rooftop where Kakashi was left alone, Kakashi looked at the sky in the distance and sighed, Jiraiya-sama is right. It's good that you are not in the village. After all, the opponent is Orochimaru, which is too dangerous. Kakashi agreed with Jiraiya's idea. The next day, Naruto got up early in the morning and prepared to go to Sakura's house to go to the hospital with her to see Sasuke. When passing by a flower shop, Naruto suddenly remembered that Sakura bought flowers when she went to see Sasuke yesterday. He touched his wallet. He turned around and walked towards the flower shop. Along the way, many villagers subconsciously stayed away from Naruto. But Naruto, who had been successfully persuaded by Yu, didn't care. When he came to the flower shop, he ignored the strange look of the flower shop owner. He took the flowers, left the money and left. He didn't say a few more words to the flower shop owner. This strange behavior stunned the surrounding villagers and the flower shop owner. What's wrong with that little nine-tailed fox today? Yeah, what's wrong? He used to be so noisy, why is he so quiet today? Who knows, maybe he has become sensible after becoming a ninja. Yes, if he becomes a ninja and acts the same as before, he will die easily. Naruto didn't know what others were saying about him, he just wanted to see Sasuke. After Sasuke fell into a coma, he was very worried. Just as Naruto passed by a hot spring pool, a huge toad suddenly flew out of the hot spring pool. Quack quack quack. Naruto was stunned for a moment and saw that the huge toad was rushing towards him. Is it an enemy? After this thought came to his mind, Naruto frowned and immediately made seals with his hands. Shadow clone technique. Konoha Whirlwind. Bang tilde. After Naruto created 3 shadow clones, his main body created a Konoha Whirlwind towards the toad. This was the Konoha fluid technique that he and Kai learned. A powerful kick hit the toad that was 3 people tall. The heavy force kicked the huge toad back into the hot spring pool. Boom boom. The huge toad shot into the hot spring pool like a cannonball, blasting out waves of more than 10 meters in the hot spring pool. A shadow clone appeared above the giant toad, ready to apply another whip kick. However, the giant toad reacted quickly, spitting out a long tongue from its mouth and pulling the shadow clone away. Naruto stood on the shore, looked at the toad in the hot spring pool and asked, "Who are you and why are you attacking me?" Naruto thought that this toad might have been sent by Orochimaru. After all, when Naruto returned home yesterday, his mind was full of Orochimaru's affairs and how to defeat him. He wanted to protect Sasuke and Sakura. The giant toad ignored Naruto at all. After adjusting its posture in the hot spring pool, it rushed towards Naruto again. Naruto frowned. Sure enough, it was sent by Orochimaru. After confirming what he thought in his heart, Naruto immediately stretched out his right hand. The shadow clone next to him immediately began to condense chakra. Puff puff puff. The shadow clone continued to condense chakra above Naruto's right hand. Soon, a blue chakra ball appeared in Naruto's hand. Jiraiya, who was hiding in the distance watching the battle at this time, was stunned. The toad was sent by him to test Naruto. It also gave him a suitable reason to appear. Jiraiya exclaimed, "How could this kid master the Rasengan? That's not right. Only Minato and I know this ninjutsu. Who did he learn it from?" Soon, Jiraiya thought of the conversation with Kakashi yesterday. Could it be that the kid named Yu taught him? What a mess. It's too early for Naruto to learn this technique. After all, the Rasengan is an A-level ninjutsu, but it is also very dangerous. The fact that only he and Minato Namikaze have learned it over the years is proof of that. Even Kakashi can't use the Sharingan very well. It has almost no practical value. Ordinary ninjas can't even learn it, and if this ninjutsu gets out of control, it will really kill people. Jiraiya was even ready to take action to prevent Naruto from losing control. Naruto used a body flash technique and appeared above the giant toad. Rasengan. Bang tilde. Boom boom. Naruto's Rasengan did not get out of control, but hit the giant toad very accurately. The terrifying power of the Rasengan slammed the giant toad heavily into the hot spring pool. The water in the hot spring pool was splashed dozens of meters. The giant toad also turned into a puff of smoke and disappeared. After the giant toad disappeared, Naruto appeared on the shore again. Looking at the messy hot spring pool, Naruto frowned. What's going on? Is it really sent by Orochimaru? Naruto has never seen a summoning beast, so he doesn't know how the giant toad disappeared. However, the giant toad that has returned to Myoboku Mountain at this time probably hates Jiraiya in his heart. If it hadn't run fast, it would probably be dead. It didn't expect that it was just a genin and could perform such a scary ninjutsu. Jiraiya, who was observing from a distance, also knew that he couldn't watch the show anymore. Just when Naruto was about to leave, Jiraiya appeared in front of Naruto standing on the head of a giant toad that was 2 people tall. Yo! Kid, you were pretty good just now. Naruto looked at the man and toad who suddenly appeared and was confused. Especially when he looked at the old man with white hair standing on the toad's head, the corners of his mouth twitched slightly. He felt that this person had some problems with his brain. This weird way of appearance did not have the effect in the original book. Instead, it made Naruto feel that Jiraiya had a problem with his brain. Naruto folded his hands while watching Jiraiya's singing and dancing performance speechlessly. He could feel that Jiraiya had no ill will towards him. It was just that this weird way of appearance made Naruto, who was no longer as entangled as before, feel very embarrassed. Chapter 149. Naruto watched Jiraiya's performance with an embarrassed look on his face, then frowned and asked, "Is that toad yours just now?" Why did you attack me? When asked by Naruto, Jiraiya didn't know how to answer. Everything was completely different from what he expected. His appearance was so amazing, but Naruto was not shocked. Jiraiya, who was standing on the toad's head, also felt a little embarrassed. However, he had encountered this kind of thing many times. Jiraiya regained his composure and looked at Naruto and announced his name. Little brat, you are so rude to talk to this toad sage. Do you know who this sage is? Naruto looked at Jiraiya calmly. This made Jiraiya very embarrassed. He said with a stiff face, this toad sage is Jiraiya, the Sannin. Just as Jiraiya finished speaking, Naruto, who had originally had a calm face, suddenly stared at Jiraiya with his eyes wide open. Who are you? Looking at Naruto's cannibalistic eyes, Jiraiya felt a little numb and stuttered, Master Jiraiya. Don't you know him? Jiraiya thought Naruto didn't know him. But Naruto took a few steps towards the toad, looked at Jiraiya and shouted, Are you Jiraiya from the Three Ninjas? Jiraiya saw that Naruto knew him and laughed. Of course, how about it, are you shocked? Naruto ignored Jiraiya's words and looked at Jiraiya expectantly. Is it Jiraiya who is called the Three Ninjas together with Orochimaru and Tsunade? Jiraiya felt that Naruto was very excited, but still admitted, yes, how about it, are you surprised? Naruto ignored Jiraiya again and said to himself, so the village is saved, you can definitely beat Orochimaru, right? Naruto looked up at Jiraiya and asked. Seeing Naruto's expectant eyes, Jiraiya felt a little weird. But he still said confidently, of course, but you actually know three people, and you also know Orochimaru and Tsunade, who told you this. Naruto ignored Jiraiya again, and Jiraiya admitted it. Naruto jumped up excitedly, yeah, the village is saved, I'm going to tell Kakashi and Sakura. Seeing that Naruto was about to run away, Jiraiya's mouth twitched slightly, this guy actually ignored me so many times. But he knows so much about the Three Ninjas, it seems that he learned well in the ninja school. Jiraiya thought Naruto knew the Three Ninjas in the ninja school. Seeing Naruto was about to run, Jiraiya quickly stopped him. Stop, kid. Just as he was about to tell Kakashi and Sakura about the appearance of the Sannin, Naruto turned around and looked at Jiraiya and asked unhappily, what's wrong? Jiraiya said speechlessly, I am a Sannin, don't you have anything to say to me? Naruto was stunned for a moment, and muttered to himself, yes, you are a Sannin, I should have something to say to you, right? Naruto's words made Jiraiya even more speechless. You guys are really a little bit brainless. Naruto was not angry, looking at Jiraiya and asked, is that toad just now yours? Why did you attack me? Jiraiya nodded, and Naruto finally entered into Jiraiya's plan. So he nodded pretentiously, yes, the toad just now was summoned by this toad sage. Summoning beast? Naruto asked curiously. Jiraiya nodded, yes, how about it, very powerful. It is indeed very powerful, but it is not my opponent. Naruto said confidently. Jiraiya was a little speechless. If Kakashi had told him before that Naruto had mastered the Rasengan, he would not have summoned the toad. Instead, he would have summoned a more powerful toad. But Jiraiya was very relieved. After all, Naruto has grown well in recent years. He has mastered the Rasengan at this age, and even if the Rasengan is not counted, Naruto's physical performance and combat awareness just now have reached the level of Chunin. Jiraiya, who originally thought that Naruto would be very weak, did not expect it at all. Jiraiya looked at Naruto and smiled, little boy, I still have a very powerful summoning beast. Do you want to learn from me? Naruto was stunned for a moment, frowned and asked, do you mean for me to learn ninjutsu from you? Jiraiya nodded confidently, he felt that Naruto would not refuse. But Naruto thought for a while and shook his head and said, no, I can't learn from you. Although you are a Sannin, I am Kakashi's student, and I believe Kakashi can make me stronger. Because Yu was taught by Kakashi, Yu is no worse than you. Don't look at Naruto. Yu regarded him as an opponent to be surpassed, but he trusted Yu very much. And Yu also made a training plan for Naruto, and Naruto gave the plan to Kakashi and asked him to train himself according to the plan. In less than a month, he already felt that he was much stronger than before. Naruto felt that according to Yu's plan, he would become very strong in a short time, and when he mastered the power of the Nine Tails, he would be able to surpass Yu and Sasuke. Naturally, he had no interest in learning from Jiraiya. And Jiraiya did not expect Naruto to reject him. Jiraiya looked at Naruto in surprise. Don't you know my strength? Do you think your teacher is stronger than me? Naruto looked up at Jiraiya and shook his head seriously. I didn't say that. You are the three ninjas. Kakashi-sensei told me how powerful you are. You all have the strength of a Hokage, much stronger than Kakashi-sensei. Jiraiya looked at Naruto puzzledly. Then why did you refuse? Naruto looked at Jiraiya and smiled, because Kakashi-sensei is more likely to make me stronger. Jiraiya didn't understand at all, but if you follow me, you will be stronger. I am stronger than Kakashi and can teach you more powerful ninjutsu. Naruto smiled, maybe, but Kakashi-sensei is more suitable for me. Jiraiya was speechless. This is the first time someone has refused him. In the past, others begged him to be a teacher, but now he took the initiative to offer himself and was rejected. It's so embarrassing. Tell me why Kakashi is stronger than me. Naruto thought for a while and said, I didn't say that Kakashi is stronger than you, but he knows how to make me stronger. A friend of mine said that the best method is the one that suits you. No matter how good it is, it won't make you stronger. Jiraiya was stunned. He didn't expect Naruto to say such a thing. He had read some of Naruto's information before, and Naruto would not say such a thing in the information. But Jiraiya didn't know that the information he read was from a long time ago. During this period, Yu changed Team 7 a lot, and Kakashi was more serious about the three people than in the original book. The three people are now much stronger than in the original book. Moreover, the reason why Naruto trusts Kakashi is because he has full faith in Yu. Because the training plan given to him by Yu really made him much stronger. Naturally, no matter how powerful Jiraiya is, he feels that Jiraiya can't understand him better than Yu. Chapter 150. There was no other way. Jiraiya could only say, if I say that I have discussed with Kakashi and he has agreed to hand you over to me, what would you think? Hearing this, Naruto frowned. Impossible. He didn't believe it. Jiraiya also regained his composure, looked at Naruto seriously and said, we met yesterday. Naruto was silent. Based on his understanding of Kakashi, what Jiraiya said was very likely to be true. It's just that he didn't want to, he still preferred to practice with Kakashi. But he also knew that Kakashi could do such a thing. Naruto was silent for a long time, raised his head and said a little dully, can you tell me why? I don't believe that Kakashi teacher handed me over to you for no reason. Naruto's words were already crying. Although he knew that Kakashi must have his own reasons, Naruto still couldn't help feeling sad. After so long together, Kakashi was already a very important existence to him. It was the same existence as Sakura and Sasuke. Feeling Naruto's emotions, Jiraiya explained, because of the 9 tails in your body. Naruto was stunned. 9 tails. Yes, the 9 tails in your body is the target of a certain organization, so it will be safer to leave you to me. Unlike the original work, Jiraiya now told Naruto everything. Naruto grabbed his stomach, his face solemn. Are you targeting the 9 tails in my body? But will it be safe to follow you? Naruto said solemnly. Jiraiya was a little surprised. He didn't expect Naruto to be not surprised by the 9 tails. In his experience, most Jinchuriki hate the tailed beasts in their bodies. Jiraiya said, you are really unsafe if you stay in the village. The organization that is trying to capture you has many powerful ninjas, more powerful than Orochimaru, and there are more than one. Staying in the village will not only bring many threats to the village, but it will also be very convenient for the organization to capture you. They don't even need to find your location. Naruto was persuaded. But he still felt uncomfortable. I originally wanted to master the power of the 9 tails and surpass them. Although Naruto felt uncomfortable, he still accepted Jiraiya's reason. After all, Naruto now deeply knows how important the tailed beasts are to Konoha. Naruto looked up at Jiraiya. I want to master the power of the 9 tails. Can you really help me? Jiraiya didn't expect Naruto to accept it so quickly. He also didn't expect that he could understand how important the tailed beasts are to the village. In any case, the result at least went in the direction he expected. Looking at Naruto, he smiled and said, I am the Toad Sage of the 3 ninjas. You can trust me completely. Naruto nodded and said, I will tell Kakashi-sensei. Jiraiya did not object. Okay, I will wait for you here tomorrow. I will teach you a very powerful ninjutsu. Naruto was not surprised at all. On the contrary, he was very uncomfortable at this time. If possible, he still wanted to stay in Team 7. There are Kakashi, Sakura and Sasuke. They can occasionally go to Yu, who will teach him many things and many ninjutsu. Naruto likes that kind of life very much. But he also knows how important the tailed beast in his body is to the village. He thinks that if Yu and Sasuke are here, they will also approve of his decision. After leaving Jiraiya, Naruto went to Sakura's house. But he did not tell Sakura about this. At this time in Konoha Hospital, Sasuke, who has woken up, is sitting on the bed to condense chakra. Suddenly, he noticed something. Sasuke opened his eyes and frowned. Is it that guy? Sasuke noticed the familiar chakra. Slowly standing up, Sasuke walked towards a ward. At the door of the ward, Sasuke met Naruto and Shikamaru, who were going to see Shaoli. When Naruto saw that Sasuke woke up, he was surprised. Sasuke, you woke up. Sasuke did not answer and looked at the door. Shikamaru also noticed Sasuke's gaze. Naruto, keep your voice down. Shikamaru also noticed that there was something wrong in the room. In the room, Gaara was controlling the sand to kill Shaoli. Walking to Sasuke, Shikamaru looked at Sasuke and Sasuke nodded. Shikamaru also immediately understood Sasuke's idea. Immediately began to make hand seals. Shadow imitation technique. Shikamaru's shadow immediately entered the room through the crack of the door. Sasuke kicked the door open. He kicked the sand that bound Shaoli away. Gaara looked at the person who suddenly appeared in front of him. He frowned and said, it's you. Seeing that the person was Sasuke, Gaara said coldly. Sasuke looked at Rock Lee lying on the bed and frowned. He didn't know about Rock Lee's fight with Gaara, because the fight between Rock Lee and Gaara started after he fell into a coma. How did Rock Lee become like this? Sasuke opened his Sharingan, and in the double Magatama Sharingan, Rock Lee's chakra flow had already had problems. When Gaara saw Sasuke's Sharingan, he suddenly felt palpitations. Or it was not him, but the Shukaku in his body that felt very uncomfortable. It's just right, I'll kill you and him together today. Gaara didn't want to wait until the finals of the Chunin exam, and planned to kill Sasuke now. Sasuke frowned. This guy's brain is a little abnormal. Gaara's crazy look made Sasuke think that Gaara was not mentally normal. After all, he had met Gaara before, he knew that Gaara was very strong, and he also knew that this guy had an abnormal personality. Shikamaru was trying to control Gaara with the shadow imitation technique. But he felt very tired. Damn, what kind of monster is this guy? Why can he be so calm after being controlled by my shadow imitation technique? On the other side, Naruto also rushed in. He stood beside Sasuke with a kunai in his hand. What do you want to do to Lee? Naruto had seen with his own eyes how powerful Gaara was. Sasuke didn't see the battle between Gaara and Lee, but he witnessed the whole process. So Naruto was under great pressure. And Shikamaru felt relieved when he saw Naruto and Sasuke standing together, especially when he saw Sasuke's pair of Magatama Sharingan. Is this the Sharingan? How strong is Sasuke? Shikamaru knew that Sasuke had changed a lot compared to before. He was not as cold as before, and even before the Chunin exam, Team 7 and their class got together once. So the relationship between Shikamaru and Sasuke was not as distant as in the original book. But Shikamaru didn't know how strong Sasuke was. So Shikamaru was a little worried that Sasuke would be hurt by Gaara. After all, Sasuke hadn't seen the battle between Gaara and Rock Lee. He didn't know how strong Gaara was. Fortunately, Naruto looked at Gaara vigilantly and said to Sasuke, "Sasuke, be careful, this guy is very strong, and his thick eyebrows are like this because of this guy." Sasuke glanced at Rock Lee. Nodded, "Rock Lee is very strong. Anyone who can defeat him knows that he is very strong." Sasuke and Rock Lee had fought before, although it was just a simple physical confrontation. But Sasuke also knew that Rock Lee was very strong. Chapter 151. Gaara looked at Sasuke with a crazy look on his face. "You can die with this guy." Sasuke frowned. He didn't want to fight with Gaara here, worried that it would affect Shaoli lying on the bed. "If you fight here today, you will not be qualified to participate in the finals," Sasuke said coldly. Gaara paused. Although he wanted to kill Sasuke now, the village had a plan. Even if he didn't want to, he still suppressed the intention of killing Sasuke. "I will kill you in the finals," Sasuke said coldly. "If you have the ability, just come." Gaara looked at Sasuke coldly and walked out of the ward. Sasuke, Naruto and Shikamaru just watched Gaara walk out of the room quietly. After Gaara left, Naruto and Shikamaru breathed a sigh of relief. Both of them knew how strong Gaara was, so they were very nervous just now. Both of them knew that they could not stop Gaara at all. Even if Naruto was stronger than in the original work, he was still no match for Gaara. However, Sasuke at this time already had the strength to defeat Gaara, who did not enter the tailed beast state. "I was scared to death. If he really took action just now, we could not stop him at all." Naruto patted his chest and said. Shikamaru looked at Sasuke, who had closed his Sharingan, and asked, "Sasuke, are you awake?" Sasuke nodded. At this time, Sasuke was still thinking about Gaara. He felt that the chakra in Gaara's body was a bit weird. That guy should have the same monster as Naruto's body. Sasuke's words made the two people who had calmed down nervous again. Naruto looked at Sasuke solemnly. "You mean, that guy also has a tailed beast in his body?" Sasuke nodded. "Although I'm not sure, the chakra in his body is very similar to yours. And his chakra is very abnormal. Considering his age, he shouldn't have such a huge amount of chakra. Except for that monster Yu, I can't think of any normal person who can have such a huge amount of chakra." Even now, Sasuke still has to point out Yu. After opening his two Sharingan eyes, Sasuke can see the amount of chakra in Yu's body, although it is not very accurate. But he can still see roughly. It's enough. The amount of chakra in Yu's body is even much higher than Naruto's. If Sasuke didn't know that Konoha only had one tailed beast, he would have thought that Yu was also a Jinchuriki. Shikamaru was very serious when he heard the news. "Sasuke, do you mean that guy has the same demon fox as Naruto?" Naruto corrected. "The demon fox in my body is called nine-tailed fox, which is very powerful." Although he was very uncomfortable after the nine-tailed fox went berserk. But after Yu added a seal to Naruto, Naruto no longer had this risk. For him now, the nine-tailed fox is no longer a demon fox, but a power that he is about to master. Naturally, he couldn't let Shikamaru say that. But Naruto didn't know that the nine-tailed fox's real name was not nine-tailed fox, but Kurama. Shikamaru was stunned for a moment. Looking at Naruto's serious face, he didn't know why Naruto cared so much about this. But since Naruto didn't like it, he corrected his name. But why would the Sand Village send a ninja with such power in his body to participate in the Chunin exam? Shikamaru didn't know about Orochimaru yet. Only the Jonin in the village could know about this. Kakashi told Sasuke, Naruto and Sakura. Shikamaru's words reminded Sasuke of something. Could it be that the Sand Village wants to use his power to do something? Sasuke didn't think that the Sand Village sent Gaara to participate in the Chunin exam just for the exam. Shikamaru looked at Sasuke, and they both nodded at the same time. It seems that they may want to attack Konoha. After all, it is hard not to think too much when sending a Jinchuriki to another ninja village. You know, every Jinchuriki is a weapon that can destroy a country for the village. It is a very dangerous weapon. Naruto had a different opinion, saying, I don't think they have so many ideas. What I care about is that guy seems to be able to control the power of the tailed beast in his body. Although his nerves are a bit problematic, it can be seen that he can control that power. Sasuke nodded, that's right, he can use the power of the tailed beast, which is much better than Naruto. Naruto nodded subconsciously, and after reacting, Naruto angrily said, what? Sooner or later, I will also control the power of the nine tails. Sasuke nodded, that's right, he can use the power of the tailed beast, which is much better than Naruto. Naruto nodded subconsciously, and after reacting, Naruto angrily said, what? Sooner or later, I will also control the power of the nine tails. Sasuke ignored Naruto and said to Shikamaru, should we tell the third Hokage about this? Shikamaru thought for a while and said, I think the third Hokage must know the identity of Gaara. Sasuke thought for a while and agreed with Shikamaru. How did that guy beat Rock Lee like this? I saw that Rock Lee's chakra flow was abnormal. I'm afraid it will be difficult to recover. Shikamaru looked at Naruto. The two told Sasuke about the battle between Gaara and Rock Lee. After listening, Sasuke looked solemn. Rock Lee is so strong. It seems that not only we are improving, but others are also improving, and the progress is great. I finally know why Yu asked you and Sakura to learn physical skills with Teacher Kai. It is indeed suitable for you. Sasuke analyzed. Gaara's strength should have far exceeded that of a Chunin, and even reached the level of a Jonin. Naruto looked at Sasuke and asked, are you sure you can beat him? Shikamaru also looked at Sasuke. Because after spending more time with Sasuke, his relationship with Sasuke is no worse than that with Naruto. But he never knew how strong Sasuke was. When he was in the ninja school before, he couldn't see it at all. After all, the ninja school mainly learns some theoretical knowledge of ninjas, as well as some basic physical skills and kunai throwing skills. Ninjutsu also learns some three-body skills. There are people who can't learn the three-body skills every year. As the best of their class, how strong is Sasuke? This is what Shikamaru is most curious about. Because Shikamaru has never seen Yu fight, he doesn't know how strong Yu is. Sasuke shook his head, it's unlikely. If that guy can really master the power of the tailed beast in his body, I can't defeat him. Naruto frowned, even you are not sure. Sasuke shook his head. Shikamaru looked at Sasuke and asked, in the finals, you will fight him. Look at that guy, he really wants to kill you. I think if you are really not sure of defeating him at that time, you should admit defeat. After all, that guy is not an ordinary ninja, there is no need to compete with him. Sasuke was silent. Of course, he didn't want to do this. But if Gaara can really master the power of the tailed beast, it is really unwise to fight him. After a long time, Sasuke said, let's talk about it then. Chapter 152. After coming out of Lee's room, the three came to Sasuke's room. At this time, Sakura and Ino were coming out of Choji's room. Seeing Sasuke, Naruto and Shikamaru in Sasuke's room, the two walked in. Sasuke, you're awake. Sakura walked towards Sasuke with a look of surprise. Just now, Sakura, Naruto, Ino and Shikamaru came to the hospital together. Sakura and Ino went to visit Choji first, while Shikamaru and Naruto went to see Lee first. Sakura was very happy to see Sasuke wake up. Sakura's worried look made Sasuke feel warm in his heart. Maybe it was because Yu's words had an impact on Sasuke, or maybe they had been practicing together for a long time these days, and the relationship between the two was already very good. Naruto, who was standing aside, saw this scene, although he was very unhappy, but he could only watch. Sakura had clearly expressed her feelings for Sasuke, and Sasuke accepted it. Naruto knew that he had no chance. But it still made him feel uncomfortable to see the girl he liked like another boy. Not to mention that Sakura still likes Sasuke, who he considers his rival. This means that, at least emotionally, he has already lost to Sasuke. Ino is not as enthusiastic about Sasuke as before, and only treats him as a classmate. Seeing that Shikamaru, Naruto and Sasuke looked unhappy just now, she asked curiously, "What's wrong? Isn't it a good thing that Sasuke woke up? You don't look very happy." Ino walked to the window, leaned on the windowsill and looked at the few people. After Naruto told Ino what happened just now, Sakura and Ino were a little surprised. Sakura looked at Sasuke nervously. That Gaara is very strong. If he can really master the power of the tailed beast, he really shouldn't fight him head-on. Sasuke didn't speak. Ino also said, "Sakura is right. Since we already know that the other party's goal is to kill Sasuke, there is no need to fight him head-on. It's not worth it." Sasuke has not spoken. After a long time, he smiled and said, "We have to give it a try before we know whether we should fight hard. And it depends on how well he has mastered the tailed beasts." Shikamaru looked at Sasuke. The current Sasuke was completely different from when he was in the ninja school. But he could feel that the current Sasuke was more real and gave him a stronger feeling. Shikamaru only knew that Sasuke and Kakashi had practiced for a long time during this period. He didn't know what ninjutsu Sasuke had learned. After chatting for a while, Ino and Shikamaru left. Only Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura were left. Naruto then told Sasuke and Sakura that Jiraiya wanted to take him away from the village. "Sasuke, Sakura, I met Jiraiya of the three ninjas on the way here." Sasuke was confused. He had heard of the name of the three ninjas, but he didn't know what the three ninjas were like. Sakura was surprised. "Doesn't that mean someone can deal with Orochimaru?" Naruto nodded. "It should be. Although we don't know whether Jiraiya, the Toad Sage, can stop Orochimaru, at least they are all three ninjas, and at least they can help a lot." "Who are the three ninjas you are talking about?" Sasuke asked. Sakura told her about the deeds of the three ninjas that Kakashi told her. Sasuke was surprised. He didn't expect the village to be so dangerous now. "Has Yu not come back yet?" This is what Sasuke is most concerned about. Naruto and Sakura both shook their heads. "No, if he was here, Teacher Kakashi wouldn't be so worried." Sasuke was silent. If Yu was not there, it would be really troublesome. Sasuke believed that as long as Yu was there, even if Orochimaru, one of the three ninjas, attacked Konoha, Yu would be able to stop it. Seeing that Sasuke was silent, Naruto smiled and said, "Gamma Sage said he would teach me ninjutsu in person and take me out of the village to practice in the future." Sasuke and Sakura were stunned and looked at Naruto in confusion. Naruto explained, "It's because of the 9 tails in my body." Gamma Sage returned to the village this time because an organization wanted to capture the Jinchuriki of each ninja village. Gamma Sage was worried that I would fall into the hands of that organization, so he took me out of the village to hide. "Take me to practice by the way. That's one of the three ninjas, so there must be many powerful ninjutsu." Naruto said with a smile, but his bitterness could still be felt in his words. If possible, he naturally didn't want to leave Team 7 and didn't want to leave the village. But now Naruto is not the white man who knows nothing in the original book. Now he knows very well how important the 9 tails in his body is to Konoha. There must be no mistakes with the 9 tails in his body. Sasuke lowered his head and was silent for a long time. Sakura asked worriedly, "Is the other party really Jiraiya of the three ninjas? Also, are you sure?" Naruto smiled and said, Teacher Kakashi has agreed. I will ask Kakashi later and we will know if it is true. I don't think he needs to tell such a lie that is easy to be exposed. Sakura was a little sad. If so, you will have to leave Team 7 in the future. Naruto forced a smile and said, that's Jiraiya from the Three Ninjas, and he said that he would teach me many powerful ninjutsu. Sasuke, when I finish my training and master the power of the Nine Tails in my body, I will definitely defeat you. Sasuke raised his head and looked at Naruto, wanting to say something but stopping. Finally, he just said in a cold voice, it depends on whether you have the ability. He was reluctant to let Naruto leave. As for Naruto and Jiraiya learning powerful ninjutsu, he didn't care. Sasuke now knows very well that Sharingan is the root of his strength. He has great trust in the training plan that Yu has made for him. Naturally, he won't be jealous of Naruto. But he is not jealous of Naruto, but he is worried about Naruto's safety. After all, Naruto said that there are many ninjas with the strength of Hokage in the Akatsuki organization. Is it really safe to be targeted by such an organization? Jiraiya is one of the three ninjas, can he really keep Naruto safe? Sasuke is very worried. But he still can't say his worries. Sakura doesn't have Sasuke's psychological burden, and said worriedly, if you leave the village, isn't it more dangerous than staying in the village? In the village, at least there are ninjas in the village to protect you, and there are also Yu, Kakashi teacher and Hokage to protect you. Naruto said seriously, I don't want them to destroy Konoha, and I don't want Yu to be in danger because of me. He is the same age as us, and he shouldn't bear such a burden. Sakura was silent. Seeing that Sakura was really worried about him, Naruto was very happy. Sakura, you don't have to worry about me. After all, no matter what, the Toad Sage is also a Sannin, and he can summon very powerful toads. There will be no danger. And with Yu's seal, I don't need to worry about the nine-tailed beast going berserk. As long as I can master the power of the nine-tailed beast, that so-called organization will never be able to catch me. Naruto was of course comforting Sakura. In fact, he didn't know whether the decision he made was right or wrong. But he didn't want to put the village and his friends like Sasuke and Sakura in danger. Following Jiraiya, even if he was really captured by the Akatsuki organization, he would not implicate his cherished friends. Chapter 153. Yu, who was missed by Sasuke, Naruto and the other two, had come to the address given by Asama Santefu. Yu, who found Asama Santefu, was told that the person he was protecting, Fuji Fuyuki, also known as Fuka Koyuki, was missing. In Fuji Fuyuki's room, Asama Santefu sat cross-legged in front of Yu with a serious face. Push the photo of Fuji Fuyuki in front of Yu. This is the photo of Miss Yuki, please find her back. Although he didn't trust Yu very much. But since it was the candidate personally appointed by the third Hokage, he had no choice but to believe it. Yu looked at the photo and asked, is there no bodyguard around Miss Yuki? Yu didn't think that a famous actor would not have bodyguards around him, and Fuji Fuyuki's real identity was a princess of a country. Even if the senior management of the crew didn't pay attention to Fuji Fuyuki's safety, Asama Santefu couldn't ignore it. When Asama Santefu heard this, he said awkwardly, we did hire many security guards for Miss Shuehui, but they were all thrown away by Miss Shuehui. Yu didn't say much, just said lightly, is that so? Looking at Yu's calm face, Asama Santefu was a little disappointed. He thought Yu was very strong, so the third Hokage appointed him to complete this mission alone. Yu didn't say anything after that. Just when Asama Santefu couldn't help asking Yu if he was sure to find Fujifeng Shuehui. Yu suddenly disappeared in the room. Asama Santefu looked up and was stunned. Disappeared. Asama Santefu couldn't believe that Yu suddenly disappeared. At the same time, in a bar, Yu suddenly appeared here. Because there were not many people in the bar, Yu's sudden appearance did not attract attention. Yu Yu sat at the bar seat, and next to him was Fujifeng Shuihui in disguise. At this time, she was drinking. Although Yu Yu's sudden appearance did not attract attention. But a person who was about to walk towards Fujifeng Shuihui and seemed to want to do something to her changed direction and walked outside. And this person was the one sent by Fenghua Nudao to inquire about Fenghua Xiaoshui. Fenghua Xiaoshui held a wine glass in her hand and stared blankly at Yu Yu, who suddenly appeared. Ms. Shuihui, Mr. Asama Santeifu sent me to pick you up. You are the ninja he hired. Fenghua Xiaoshui was a little surprised. She didn't notice Yu Yu's sudden appearance at all. Yu Yu nodded, yes. After Fenghua Xiaoshui reacted, she stood up and ran out. Yu Yu sighed. What a trouble. Fenghua Xiaoshui just ran to the door, and Yu Yu appeared in front of her. Bang! Fenghua Xiaoshui didn't have time to stop and bumped into Yu Yu. The next moment, Fenghua Xiaoshui felt her eyes blurred. The two appeared in her room. Fenghua Xiaoshui, who had not yet reacted, wanted to stand up and run away, but when she looked up and looked around, she found that she was actually in her own room. Asama Santeifu, who originally wanted to go out, was just about to stand up when Yu Yu and Fenghua Xiaoshui suddenly appeared in the room. This scared Asama Santeifu. Miss Shuihui, you are back. Asama Santeifu did not expect that Yu Yu had just gone out for less than a minute and appeared here with Fujifeng Shuihui. What exactly is this terrifying ability? Fenghua Xiaoshui also reacted. Looking at the surrounding layout, she confirmed that this was her room. Even Fenghua Xiaoshui, who was used to seeing ninjas, was frightened and fell to the ground at this moment. How come I'm here? Yu Yu came to the shocked Asama Santeifu and said calmly, we can set off now. Asama Santeifu trembled all over and nodded mechanically, yes, tilde. He actually doubted Yu Yu's ability just now. Yes, he was personally appointed by the third generation to complete this mission. How could he be weak? But this is too strong. Is this the legendary space-time ninjutsu? Asama Santeifu was shocked. He is not someone who has never seen ninjas. As a former senior official of the Snow Country, Asama Santeifu has seen many ninjas. But this is the first time he has seen a ninja as powerful as Yu Yu. Even if Yu Yu has never fought, with just his space-time ninjutsu and the ability to use ninjutsu without a seal, how bad can his strength be? Asama Santeifu raised his head and looked at Yu Yu, who was leaning against the window and seemed to be looking at the scenery outside. He asked in a trembling voice, Mr. Yu Yu, where did you get Miss Shuihui from? Brought it back. Yu Yu did not answer. But Fenghua Xiaoshui, who had come to her senses, looked at Yu Yu and answered for him, it was at the Shanwei bar. Asama Santeifu opened his eyes wide, what? Shanwei bar, isn't it several kilometers away from here? Quote. But Mr. Yu Yu has been out for less than a minute, this tilde. Even Asama Santeifu was stunned. The bar where Yu Yu brought Fuka Koyuki back was several kilometers away from here. Yu Yu actually found Fuka Koyuki in less than a minute and brought her back. Is this still a human? Even ninjas are not so outrageous, right? Yu Yu's operation really scared Asama Santeifu and Fuka Koyuki. In fact, even other strong men in the ninja world would be shocked if they saw Yu Yu's operation. This means that Yu Yu has a supernatural perception ability and the ability of space-time ninjutsu. Even cage-level strong men would be scared to death when they see Yu Yu's operation. Yu Yu looked calm, looking at Fuka Koyuki, who was staring at him with a complicated expression. Ms. Shuihui, we are leaving tomorrow, please don't run around anymore, after all, it is very difficult to find you. Just as Yu Yu finished this sentence, Asama Santeifu looked at Yu Yu speechlessly. I don't see that you have any difficulties at all. At this time, Asama Santeifu was completely impressed by Yu Yu's strength. His attitude was also much more respectful. But Fenghua Xiaoshui fell silent. She didn't want to go to the Snow Country. There were memories she didn't want to recall there. Yu knew what Fenghua Xiaoshui was thinking. If this mission was the same as in Yu's memory, it would not be a B-level mission, but a Super S-level mission. Because this is a mission to restore the country, it has exceeded the scope of the S-level mission, not to mention it is just a B-level mission. Fenghua Xiaoshui estimated Ji was also worried about Fenghua Nutao and the others chasing him. But Yu didn't care about this. Now Yu felt that he already had the strength of an elite Jonin, plus he had the three-tailed beast as his summoned beast. And Fenghua Nutao was at most an elite Jonin, or a reserve cage level. Yu felt that he could handle it completely, and even if he really couldn't handle it, he could still use the Flying Thunder God technique to run away. Of course, only Yu himself would think so. If Fenghua Nutao knew Yu's strength, he would probably think about running away now. Chapter 154. Although Fenghua Xiaoshui was frightened by Yu's operation, she was still very afraid of Fenghua Nutao after calming down. She sat on the ground, hugged her knees, and said in a crying voice, "Stupid, going to the snow country will kill you, I don't want to go to die." Qianjian San Teifu advised, "Miss Shuihui, with Mr. Yu's guards, there will definitely be no danger." Fenghua Xiaoshui did not speak, but buried her head between her knees. She didn't want to go at all. The atmosphere in the room suddenly became very solemn. Yu leaned against the window and did not speak. Whether the mission will continue is up to Qianjian San Teifu. After all, it was Yu who hired him. Seeing Fenghua Xiaoshui silent for a long time, Qianjian San Teifu said again, "Miss Shuihui, there will be no problem on this journey. I believe Mr. Yu can also protect your safety." Fenghua Xiaoshui still did not speak. The shadow that Fenghua Nutao left on her when she was a child was too great, so she did not dare to return to the snow country. After a long time, Yu spoke, "Miss Shuihui, please rest assured. You are my protector. I will not let you be in any danger before the mission is completed. I can promise you," Yu said calmly. He naturally knew what accidents would happen in this mission. But he was sure to solve it. And after this mission is completed, it will obviously be upgraded from B level to Super S level. Yu can earn a lot of commission. After this mission is completed, he can lie down for several years. Of course, the premise is that the third generation does not assign him any mission. Fenghua Xiaoshui was shocked when she heard Yu's words. But when she thought of the horror of Fenghua Nutao, she still said, "You don't know how dangerous the snow country is. Although you may be strong, you are just a child, just like the Konoha ninja back then." The Konoha ninja that Fenghua Xiaoshui mentioned was Kakashi when he was young. Kakashi was hired by the daimyo of the snow country, but at that time Kakashi was no match for Fenghua Nutao, so there was no way to defeat Fenghua Nutao and save the snow country. In the end, Fenghua Xiaoshui was escorted out of the snow country at the request of Fenghua Xiaoshui's father. Yu naturally knew it. But he still asked, "Miss Shuihui seems to know our Konoha ninja." Fenghua Xiaoshui raised her head and glanced at Yu. Sneered, "That man is a Jonin, and you are just a Chunin. He can't do anything, how can you be his opponent?" Asama Santeifu didn't speak. He knew what Fenghua Xiaoshui was talking about. Yu was not angry, he looked at Fenghua Xiaoshui calmly, and asked, "You seem to know that someone in the snow country wants to kill you." Fenghua Xiaoshui was stunned for a moment, turned her head, and continued to be silent. Yu didn't ask any more questions. "No matter who the opponent is, I will definitely protect you, at least I will never let you fall into despair. You should know that I have this ability." Fenghua Xiaoshui trembled all over. She raised her head and looked at Yu again. Seeing his calm and firm eyes, Fenghua Xiaoshui shook her head. "You will die, you can't be the opponent of that person at all." In Fenghua Xiaoshui's heart, Fenghua Nutao is very powerful, so powerful that he cannot be defeated. But she didn't know that Yu didn't think he was a threat at all. Yu just wanted Fenghua Xiaoshui to cooperate a little and let him complete the task earlier. If he could pay another commission after the upgrade task, It would be even better. Yi Yu walked in front of Fenghua Xiaoshui, looked into her eyes and said seriously, "No matter who he is, he can't stop me from making money. No, he can't stop me from completing the task of protecting you." Fenghua Xiaoshui looked at Yi Yu with a puzzled look. I don't know what Yi Yu wanted to say just now. But she was indeed moved by Yi Yu's seriousness. Behind him, Asama Santefu looked at Fenghua Xiaoshui expectantly. He hoped that Fenghua Xiaoshui could return to the snow country. Many people in the snow country were dissatisfied with Fenghua Nutao's rule, but they had no backbone. Fenghua Xiaoshui was very important to them. With her, their resistance was meaningful. Fenghua Xiaoshui was almost moved by Yi Yu, but she still couldn't overcome her fear of Fenghua Nutao. Just as she was about to refuse, Yi Yu frowned. The next moment, Fenghua Xiaoshui's eyes widened. Bang! Fenghua Xiaoshui's eyes were dull, and then her whole body softened and fell to the ground. Asama Santefu was startled. "Ms. Shuihui." Fenghua Xiaoshui suddenly fainted, and Asama Santefu was really scared. Yi Yu stood up, looked at Fenghua Xiaoshui lying on the ground and said calmly, "Okay, don't worry, she is just under an illusion, she will wake up in 2 days. Mr. Asama Santefu, let's go according to the schedule tomorrow. I'm going to rest first." Yi Yu walked out. Just as he reached the door, Asama Santefu hesitated for a moment, but still asked, "Mr. Yi Yu, are you sure you can protect Miss Shuihui's safety? Do you know, before, your Konoha's Hitaki Kakashi also failed." Yi Yu stopped. After a moment of silence, he said, "I will make up for Mr. Kakashi's mistakes. Please rest assured about this." After that, Yi Yu walked out. Asama Santefu looked at the door, and it took him a long time to come back to his senses. "I hope so. I hope that when you know how strong the opponent you are facing is, you will still have such confidence." Compared to Fuka Koyuki, Asama Santefu has more confidence in Yeyu. From the time Yeyu showed the Flying Thunder God technique, he had great confidence in Yeyu. He felt that even if Yeyu could not defeat Fuka Nutao, he could take Fuka Koyuki away. Looking at Fuka Koyuki who fainted on the ground, Asama Santefu sighed, "Princess Koyuki, you have long forgotten me. Mr. Yeyu should be able to help you restore your country." It seems that Hitaki Kakashi is Mr. Yeyu's teacher. That's right. At that time, although Mr. Kakashi was young, he was also a senior ninja. Now Mr. Kakashi has a great reputation, and his disciples should not be weak. Even if Mr. Yeyu is still not a match for Fuka Nutao, he can use space-time ninjutsu to take you to a safe place. Santa Asama finally decided to believe in Yi Yu. In fact, whether he believed in Yi Yu or not, he had been carrying out the restoration of the country. The appearance of Yi Yu gave him more confidence in whether the restoration of the country would be successful. Not only does he know the legendary ninjutsu of space-time ninjutsu, but also the illusion jutsu is so powerful. Mr. Yi Yu seems to be stronger than Mr. Kakashi at that time. Yi Yu did not cast a seal when releasing the illusion just now. Asama Santefu has some knowledge of ninjas, and he knows very well how terrible Yi Yu's actions just now were. It is not something that ordinary people can do to release illusions without casting a seal. In other words, in the ninja world, the sealless ninjutsu itself is very rare. It is not something that ordinary ninjas can do. Even Kakashi's Chidori requires a seal. In addition to its powerful power, the Rasengan of the sealless ninjutsu does not require a seal, which is also the biggest advantage of this ninjutsu. Because Namikaze Minato developed the Rasengan to cooperate with the Flying Thunder God technique. He needs an instant ninjutsu, and the Rasengan has this function. In other words, for Namikaze Minato, the only advantage of the Rasengan is that it does not require a seal. In the ninja world, those who can release ninjutsu without casting a seal are not rare, but extremely rare. Yi Yu did not cast a seal just now, and the speed of release was extremely fast, so fast that Fenghua Xiaoshui was hit before she could react. Chapter 155. However, The illusion that Yu released just now was not released by eyes, but by chakra. It is not the chakra consumed when releasing illusions, but released through the surrounding chakra as a medium. In other words, as long as Yu is within the area that he can sense, he can release illusions. He can release single illusions or group illusions. This is naturally the illusion that Yu has improved. In a sense, Yu's means of releasing illusions are very terrifying. Because the ninja world is full of chakra. As long as he wants, he can release illusions on anyone he can sense. It is even more terrifying than the Sharingan. However, Yu does not like to use illusions, because his illusions have a fast range and speed, but his illusions are not strong. It is only equivalent to the illusion of Yuhi Kurenai, not as good as the illusions used by ninjas like Uchiha Itachi who have the Mangekyo Sharingan. So if he faces Uchiha Itachi, Yu would not dare to compete with him in illusions. Otherwise, the person lying down must be him. However, Yu has only mastered illusion for a short time, and there is still a lot of room for improvement in the future. Of course, if others knew that Yu had this ability, many people would definitely be restless. You should know that Yuhi Kurenai's illusion ability is not as good as Uchiha Itachi, but there are not many people in the ninja world whose illusion can compare with Uchiha Itachi. Yuhi Kurenai is an illusion-type ninja. If the other party does not have a Sharingan, it is difficult to break her illusion without help from others. What's more, Yu's illusion has reached the point where he can release it with just a thought. No need to make a seal or prepare in advance. It is an instantaneous illusion without seals. It's just a pity that Yu doesn't like to use illusions. He feels that he is not an illusion-type ninja. If others knew that he had such an outrageous illusion ability and still thought so, they would probably be angry to death. Illusions are difficult to learn, but Yu can use them instantly, without even needing to form seals, and can use them anytime and anywhere. On the vast sea, a huge sailboat was sailing on the sea. In the cabin, Fenghua Xiaoshui, who was lying on the boat, slowly opened her eyes. The scene of Yu using illusions on her was still in her mind. After opening her eyes, she sat up immediately. My head hurts so much, is it an illusion? Fenghua Xiaoshui muttered to herself. When she noticed the environment around her, she seemed to think of something. Fenghua Xiaoshui ran towards the door with her eyes wide open. Bang! With a muffled sound, the door of the cabin was pushed open by her. What came into view was the boundless ocean, the setting sun, and the sea breeze. Fenghua Xiaoshui knew that she had not dodged it, and now she was on the boat. Damn, that bastard! Fenghua Xiaoshui was very angry. She didn't want to go to the snow country, but now she was on the ship and couldn't go back. Walked out of the cabin. Fenghua Xiaoshui came to the deck angrily. Looking at Yu who was leaning on the deck and blowing the sea breeze, Fenghua Xiaoshui walked to Yu. You bastard, why didn't you ask for my consent before taking me on board? Yu looked at Fenghua Xiaoshui and said lightly, even if I don't take you on board, according to your agency's contract, you have to come. I just don't want to waste time. Yu was right, but Fenghua Xiaoshui was still very angry. You don't know how dangerous the snow country is, and how terrible that person is. Do you think you can beat him? Don't be too self-righteous. Perhaps Yu's self-willed behavior angered Fenghua Xiaoshui. She was very angry, so she was very rude to Yu. But Yu was not angry. Fenghua Xiaoshui had a shadow over Fenghua Nutao, so it was normal that she didn't dare to go. After all, she had been hiding for 10 years. Yu brought her to the snow country, which meant that she had been hiding for nothing for so many years. Anyone would be angry. Yu could understand, so he was not angry. Who is the person you are talking about? The one who wants to kill you. Fenghua Xiaoshui hesitated to speak. She wanted to tell Yu about Fenghua Nutao, but if she said it, her true identity would be exposed. So Fenghua Xiaoshui could only glare at Yu, snorted coldly, and turned back to the cabin. Yu smiled, You have a bad temper. You are worthy of being a big star. Yeyu didn't take it to heart. Turning around and looking at the sea, he thought to himself, I really have a little bit of the feeling of One Piece now, hee. On the endless sea, no matter how huge the sailboat is, it is just a drop in the ocean. After a long time, Asama Santefu came to Yeyu. Standing beside next to Yeyu, Asama Santefu thought about it, and finally told Yeyu the true situation of the Snow Country, and told Yeyu the true identity of Fenghua Xiaoshui. The reason why Miss Shuiwei is so wary of the Snow Country is because she is the daughter of the former daimyo of the Snow Country, the princess of the Snow Country, and the heir of the Snow Country. Yeyu's face was calm, and he didn't seem to be surprised at all. Asama Santefu thought that Yeyu had long guessed that Fenghua Xiaoshui had a relationship with the Snow Country, so he was not surprised. In fact, it was just that Yeyu had a memory of this. Asama Santefu continued, the leader of the hidden snow village, Fenghua Nutao, launched a rebellion. Asama Santefu told Yeyu everything that happened in the Snow Country that year, including his identity and the true identity of Fenghua Xiaoshui. After that, Asama Santefu looked at Yeyu with some trepidation. He was worried that Yeyu would give up this mission after hearing it. After all, when he entrusted Konoha with the task, he concealed these things and only paid for the B-level mission. It's not that Asama Santefu didn't have the money to pay for the higher level mission, but he had to conceal his and Fenghua Xiaoshui's identities. Originally, he thought that Konoha would at least send a Jonin with a few Chunins to carry out this mission. Who knew that the third generation only sent Yeyu to carry out this mission? If it weren't for Yeyu's previous performance, Asama Santefu would never have believed Yeyu. After listening to Asama Santefu's story, Yeyu's face was calm. After a long time, he said lightly, this is far more difficult than a B-level mission. Mr. Asama Santefu, I have the power to terminate this mission at any time. Hearing this, Asama Santefu panicked. I can pay a higher level of reward. The reason why I only reported the B-level mission before was that I was worried that Princess Xiaoshui's identity would be exposed. Please continue to protect Princess Xiaoshui, please. Yeyu looked at Asama Santefu for a while, and then slowly said, this is a war commission, at least an S-level mission. Asama Santefu's face was happy, as long as they can negotiate. I am willing to pay you for the S-level mission. Yeyu smiled and said, I know you can afford it. After all, Shui Wei, oh no, it should be called Princess Xiaoshui, is a big star. What is a few million taels to her? Although Fenghua Xiaoshui is the princess of the Snow Country, she has lived in the Fire Country for many years, and she is also one of the top stars in the Fire Country. Naturally, her income is very considerable. Top entertainment stars are high-income people no matter in which world or era. Their status may be high or low, but there is no need to doubt that their income is high. The income of the ninja who completes the most tasks cannot compare to the income of the top stars. Asama Santefu looked at Yeyu seriously. He was worried that Yeyu would give up this mission. After a moment of silence, Yeyu smiled and said, since we are here, it is unrealistic to go back. I will continue to complete this mission. Chapter 156. After Yeyu expressed his position, Asama Santefu finally breathed a sigh of relief. Please rest assured, I will make up the remaining funds after this mission is over. Yeyu did not say anything else. Asama Santefu thought about it and reminded Yeyu, Mr. Yeyu, Fenghua Nudao is very powerful, probably stronger than the Jonin, so please do not take it lightly. There are several powerful ninjas around him, and they all have the strength of Jonin. Back then, even Kakashi Hatake of Guikun was not their opponent. Yeyu said lightly, back then, it was because Kakashi teacher was still young and his strength had not reached the peak. I will help him make up for his regrets back then. Asama Santefu could not say anything else. Seeing Yeyu's confident look, Asama Santefu felt that Yeyu should be confident. Even if Yeyu could not beat him, he could still keep Fenghua Xiaoshui safe. He was very clear about this. After sailing on the ship for more than 10 days, the entire ship was full of crew members. So during these 10 days, even on the ship, they were filming. Yu watched the behind-the-scenes footage for more than 10 days. It was interesting at the beginning, but then it was just boring like work. Fenghua Xiaoshui is indeed a professional actor, even though she was dissatisfied with Yu forcing her on the ship. But she was very serious during the filming, and her acting skills were not compromised at all. After more than 10 days of calm. Early in the morning, people exclaimed on the deck. Yu, who was sleeping in the cabin, opened his eyes. Walking out of the cabin, he looked up at the glacier in front of him that was tens of meters high. It seemed that he remembered something. Finally, it's a little familiar. Ninjas from the snow country, let me see what you are capable of, and see what your ice escape is like. Yu's impression of this part is the ice escape ninjutsu used by the ninjas from the snow country. Yu thinks that the ninjas of the snow country should use the ice escape of the surrounding environment, rather than the ice escape of the bloodline limit. The two are different. The first is to use the ice and snow in the surrounding environment, and the other is to use chakra to create ice and snow. Yu thinks that the ninjas of the snow country are the first type. Because if a small ninja village like them really has the bloodline limit of ice escape, and there are so many people who can use it, other big ninja villages would have been eyeing it long ago. How could it be safe and sound for so long? The internal rebellion is nothing more than a fight for the position of the daimyo of the brothers, and there is no external force involved. The people on the boat were shocked to see the glacier that suddenly appeared. The director looked at the tall glacier, clapped his hands, and said happily, "Okay, let's do the follow-up shooting here today." With the director's order, people boarded the glacier. Yu came to Fenghua Xiaoshui. Fenghua Xiaoshui didn't pay much attention to him these days because she was upset about Yu's behavior of bringing her on board without authorization. However, she just ignored him. Seeing Yu coming to her side, Fenghua Xiaoshui said coldly, "Why don't you continue to sleep?" These days, Yu is either on the deck, enjoying the breeze, or sleeping in the cabin. Obviously, she was hired to protect Fenghua Xiaoshui, but when she was on the ship, Fenghua Xiaoshui could not see Yu several times a day. Yu said lazily, "You must be safe on the ship. Now that you are on the shore, I must follow you." But he seemed absent-minded when he said it. If she hadn't seen Yu show his strength before, Fenghua Xiaoshui would have thought that Yu was an extremely unreliable ninja. Hearing Yu's words, although Fenghua Xiaoshui's face was still cold, she felt a little better in her heart. Asama-san Taifu walked to Yu's side. "Mr. Yu, it will take about 3 days to reach the snow country. Please be more careful. Please make sure Miss Shui Hui's safety is well guaranteed." Now Fenghua Xiaoshui doesn't know Asama-san Taifu's identity. Yu did not tell Fenghua Xiaoshui what Asama-san Taifu had told him. Yu nodded. "Don't worry, since I promised to protect her safety, I will never break my promise." Fenghua Xiaoshui, who was putting on makeup, had a blank expression on her face, but she felt very safe in her heart with Yu's promise. Although Yu seemed unreliable, she did not feel the dangerous atmosphere everywhere in the past 10 years. For some reason, she did not dream about her childhood when she slept in the past 10 days. After meeting Yu several times, she realized that the sense of security was given by Yu. Although she did not know why he, a 12-year-old child, gave her, a 16-year-old child, a sense of security. But Fenghua Xiaoshui could be sure, that sense of security was what Yu gave her. When the makeup artist was putting makeup on Fenghua Xiaoshui, Yu stood beside her, looking at the glacier in the distance board. Gradually, Yu smiled and said, "There are quite a lot of people." Fenghua Xiaoshui, who was being made up, glanced at Yu and said, "What's wrong?" Yu just smiled, walked in front of Fenghua Xiaoshui, and stood in front of her. He shouted to the staff who were setting up the scene in front of the glacier, "All personnel, go back to the boat, there is an enemy attack." Yu Yu's words stunned the crew. They looked at each other and finally looked at the director. The director also knew that Yu Yu was a ninja, but they had never seen Yu Yu's skills. So when the director was about to come over to ask Yu Yu what was going on, the glacier in the distance suddenly exploded violently. Boom boom. An actor standing on the glacier was blown dozens of meters away by the violent explosion. The sudden change caught everyone off guard. Yu Yu just waved his hand. A golden lightning shot out from his body. In an instant, the actor who was blown away stopped when he was about to hit the glacier. The golden lightning trapped his waist like a rope. He pulled him from the high place of the glacier to Yu Yu's side. After rescuing the actor, Yu Yu ignored him. Without turning his head, he said to Feng Hua Xiao Shui and Asama Santai Fu behind him, "Ms. Shui Wei, Mr. Asama Santai Fu, now go back to the ship with all the staff." Yu Yu's eyes were fixed on the glacier. Feng Hua Xiao Shui gritted her teeth and said, "Those must be ninjas sent by the snow country. Don't fight hard, just go back to the ship and leave." Although she ignored Yu Yu these days, the sense of security that Yu Yu gave her made her have no ill feelings towards Yu Yu. She didn't want Yu Yu to die here. Asama Santai Fu was very clear about this situation. They stayed here to cause trouble for Yu Yu. So he pulled Feng Hua Xiao Shui and said, "Miss Shuihui, we don't know ninjutsu. Staying here will only hinder Mr. Yeyu. Let's listen to him and go back to the ship." Feng Hua Xiao Shui looked at Yeyu's back, her face anxious. "Don't fight hard, get back to the ship quickly." After that, she was pulled away by Asama Santefu. Yeyu put his hands in his pockets and looked at the people who appeared on the glacier in the distance. And this time, Feng Hua Nutao sent Langya avalanche, sleet and blowing snow. The three of them have the strength of a Jonin under the amplification of the chakra armor on their bodies. And the ability of the chakra armor is very difficult. Ordinary Jonin really can't do anything to them. The three of them stood on an ice pillar, looking at the people who were evacuating below. Langya avalanche sneered, "Welcome to the snow country. Another Konoha ninja, we are really destined to be with Konoha ninjas." Langya avalanche had fought with Kakashi before. Langya Zubang looked at Yu Yu, his eyes full of teasing. After all, Yu Yu was too young, and he didn't think Yu Yu could stop the three of them. In his eyes, Yu Yu was just a dying man.